Hello, and welcome to Encounter Roleplay. My name is Will, I'm a D&D sex icon, and I'm back today with the full cast and crew of the World's Tree Burns here, sponsored by Kobold Press. This is our official Midgard Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition live stream. Welcome, everybody. Let's go around to cast and crew, let's figure out who we are, let's figure out who we are playing, and let's start with our illustrious Dungeon Master, Dan Dillon. Dan, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well, thanks for asking. So I am Dan Dillon, and I will be your Dungeon Master for this evening. I will be all of the wonderful friends and foes that these chuckleheads meet along the way.
Absolutely. We also have with us McLoken. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, hey! I'm here, and I got enough sleep this time because I didn't have to wake up and be at work at 5 a.m. So, yeah, today I'm playing Cloak. I'm a gnome ranger, and I'm super excited because I got a dog last time, and then I got to read Glass's book, and I'm super excited.
Amazing. We also have Josh back with us tonight. Josh, how are you doing, my friend? I should have known. Why did I fucking ever go to Josh? To ever any point. I've got to edit my scripts here to just delete Josh from...
Because you know what? It just plays so well on the podcast.
Yeah. Just silence just on an audio.
I like to think Cloak and Kane are the Jay and Silent Bob of Midgard. Because Cloak talks all the time, and Kane says nothing.
Yeah, every now and again I'll just be like, "No ticket." That would just be it. Just be one line. Yeah, my name is Encounter Josh. I am back playing Kane. He's a Dampier Ranger, and as you probably guessed, he doesn't really do the talking. Not as such, no.
Incredible. We also have with us tonight Tall Squall. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing great. I'm looking forward to getting back into Midgard. I can't even tell you how excited I am because I have totally binge read the entire world book maybe twice. And I cannot wait to discover more and more things. And I'm going to try my best to not give away with my facial expressions all of the exciting things every time I hear Dan mention a thing. And I'll just be, oh, it's the thing.
Yeah.
But I am playing Glazoshin, who is our geomancer wizard, who is about to have his geomancy begin to awaken. And as soon as we have some long resting and those types of things, but right now he is reading this book that we have gotten, and I cannot wait to find out what it was, because it was quite a cliffhanger last time as we were doing this, as the mere mention of the Strauss family knocked out all of the power in Indianapolis.
Or at least the only parts of it that matter.
Yep. And ignited the panini maker in my household. And last but not least, we have Laurelani with us tonight. Tia, how are you doing?
I'm pissed. I just lost 40,000 gold in Muldark, but so I'm not happy right now. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, there's this chat bot on Twitch, and I'm great. I'm doing great. But I am playing Kari of the Cat Domain. She's a Shadow Fae. She has a lesson for every situation from observing nature, and she's very quiet, internal, I guess is the word for Kari, and I'm looking for. I want my gold back. I can't even focus.
I gave you
gold.
You just need a small loan, I'm sure, and you'll be back up on your feet. As myself, I'll be playing Riodan, the Dampier cleric of the Hunger Domain, and he's here to catch up on what happened last time. I think the last he knew, we were chilling out in a camp, having a good old time. So presumably things have happened since then that he is going to need to catch up on. But before we start today's game, I'll remind you guys that we are sponsored, of course, by Kobold Press. Go over to their site, koboldpress.com, and check out the Midgard D&D5E or Pathfinder books, PDF or print. You can also check them out down at your local hobby store. I went to one for Free RPG Day and took lots of photos of me and different Midgard books in the store.
Awesome.
Because I'm a nerd. So definitely go check them out. This game is set in the Midgard world, so be sure to become immersed and become inspired to run your own games or streams in the Kobold Press world. Also, you guys, of course, know that we're sponsored by Fancy Ground, our virtual tabletop of choice. Won't be using Fancy Ground tonight, unfortunately. We can't seem to connect onto the Fancy Ground, so possibly because I've got a new PC and I need to do router things, but yeah, blame me. Why not? Also, check out whalengames.co.uk for up to 20% off all of the books that they sell. They may even sell Kobold Press books. I have to go and check. But they certainly sell D&D books, minis, bags, and swag. So definitely go check that out. Of course, you can interact with today's show. If you haven't followed yet, hit the follow button and join us. And of course, there is a tweet for you guys as well. When we hit 20 retweets, you guys get to decide something which happens next in our campaign. And you can mess with us along the way. Donate to affect the game by giving players nat 1s, nat 20s, wild magic surges, and worse. But I'll hand over to our illustrious Dungeon Master once more, Dan Dillon, to walk us through what happened last week on the show and take us into today's episode.
Yes, indeed. So, last week, amidst all of our technical failures, left, right, and center, we did, in fact, play Dungeons & Dragons, and it saw us in the aftermath of a battle that turned somewhat desperate at the end with the strange cult-like individuals in the cartways below Zobek. Quick recap of points. Cloak, our gnome ranger, made friends with one of the test subjects or sacrificial victims who were kept in the cages in the cult sanctum. This being a rather large hound of friendly disposition, but was rather the worse for wear due to the way she'd been treated. Kane was delighted to learn that his owl did not in fact die from that strange wave of shadowy magic that ripped out across the lot of you, blinding many of you with its power. But the owl did not come away unscathed, as part of its feathers are now stained black. It seems that they have just turned that color, black fading to sort of charcoal gray across the wing. But he seems none the worse for wear, so that is cause for rejoice. As you made your way out of this dank and musty tunnel system beneath the city, it became obvious to most of you that there was just a sort of a heavy malaise pressing down on you, sort of damping your spirits and dulling your senses a little bit. And just to recap that, this strange, almost like a mild depression, seems to be affecting everyone in the party except for Glaz and Kari. Riodan seemed to succumb to it harder than the others, and he was uncharacteristically quiet and withdrawn as you made your way out of the of the tunnels. You decided that you guys needed some time to both clean up and just rest and recuperate from your trials before going to bring this strange black notebook that you found back to the wizard at the Arcane Collegium who hired you to retrieve it. And so Riodan suggested, as people were trying to decide where to go to do this, that you might go to the Silk Scabbard, which is an establishment with which he is familiar. It is a tavern of sorts. It is an inn of sorts. It is also a house of pleasures for those who are of that particular bent and of the means to pay for it. And so there you found yourselves, which was located not terribly far from where you were. Inside the Silk Scabbard, there are tables for dining, for drinking, for gambling. There are booths. There's a second floor with more gambling tables and a secondary bar. There are two sandy pit fighting arenas where two of our adventurers, Kari and Kane, decided to test their mettle against one another in a rousing bout that had the establishment on its feet and gold changing hands. Meanwhile, Riodan was taken to recuperate with a woman of his acquaintance who works at the Silk Scabbard. Her name is Kajia, and you know that she is the madam of the pleasure workers there. You also know, Riodan, that she is the head of the hidden coven of Morena that your family has established, which worships beneath the Silk Scabbard. And so, yes, this is sort of your home base while in Zobek. So you have spent time sort of in her care. She got you a glass of wine, assuming you drink, and just sort of gave you some quiet time, privacy, and friendly company and spiritual counsel to try and help you talk through whatever this strange sort of cloak of despair that had settled over you, to see if you could try and pull through it. But so you're feeling much better now, although still you are noticeably off. You know, you're just having, it feels like you're just having a very off day. And it has come to several of your attention that this really kicked up as the adrenaline of the battle faded. I will also point out that you had discovered a magical dagger that Glaz identified as something called a Heart's Blood Kriss. It's a magical weapon. While you're attuned to it, it increases the saving throw DC of any blood magic spells you cast by 1. Additionally, you can use it as a spellcasting focus, and if you use it as part of a ritual spell, once per day, it reduces the time added to 1 minute instead of 10. So it allows you to more swiftly cast a ritual.
Nice. Cool.
Yep. I believe you'd also found some gold and some jewels, and those might get divided up however you see fit. And during all of this time, Glaz and Cloak were up in a room washing this filthy mutt that he rescued from the pens there, who turned out to be a rather gorgeous, almost golden furred hound with glittering silver eyes. And they were, after washing the dog, investigating this journal, which the writing inside the cover proclaims as the Ruminations of Werner Strauss. And I think we had left off while you were sort of digging through it. Is that right, Glaz and Cloak?
Yes, we had just gotten into a passage that was unlike the others, not precise, scratched into the parchment. I can no longer ignore them.
Right. So, as most of the journal, it began sort of very mundane. A nobleman's daily musings, his dealings with business, with the Strauss family's imports, exports, and ruling of the city of Zobek. Now, this is some 90 plus years ago. Every now and then he would have these strange breaks where he would talk about nightmares or strange thoughts or hallucinations. And then it comes to this part that is scrawled in haste, and it says, "What are you doing back there?" No, it says, "I can no longer ignore them. The tree calls to me. The nightmares have become my reality." After that point, you cannot decipher the journal anymore. It seems to partially be written in Umbral, but since some of you speak Umbral, you're very quickly able to realize that it is also encoded somehow. There is some sort of cipher.
Any other weird languages in there?
Nope, that seems to be it for the moment.
Okay.
There might be some notations in like the Northern trade language here and there throughout the earlier parts of the journal. Dwarvish names, place names, that sort of thing. Nothing terribly out of the ordinary, though.
I'm seeing if I have anything that might help with this. Yeah, no, I got nothing.
All right.
Dan, I'm trying to. So can I? Glaz is being inquisitive. Are there any ledgers or charts or something that Glaz might recognize from some of the mundane parts of the books for perhaps being a cipher for this later part? You know, that's something that looks like it's a ledger, but that is just that sticks out as being a little odd or something.
So you're looking for a key, right? A key to the
I'm
cipher.
looking to see if the cipher is actually located within the boring part of the book, sort of, hidden.
Gotcha. Let's see. Why don't you give me an intelligence investigation check?
Investigation. So D20 plus 4. That's a 12 plus 4 is 16.
16. All right. So it'll take you a little while to work on it and to see if some of these patterns that you suspect are encoded into the charts are in fact a key of some sort. But yes, you find some notations that seem just slightly out of place with all of their fellows.
Ooh.
So, do you speak Umbral, Glaz? I can't recall.
No, I was just looking it up. I do Unkashelian and Terran. Is Terran a part of Umbral, though? I can't recall. I forget.
Terran is not. Terran is a dialect of Primordial, so you can you can communicate with other elemental languages just fine. But no, Umbral is its own thing.
There's an adorable gnome in the room who knows Umbral.
Oh, look at that.
And a shadow fey.
And also, with my runes and glyphs, is there anything that helps out with this deciphering? But regardless, I will look to my friend Cloak. So, my friend, do you recognize this language? Everything is in common, but this part here, it is strange. But it seems as though it is not just language; it is coded language. But perhaps if we could even read the language itself, if it makes no sense, it could assist us in trying to figure this out.
Yeah,
like the page.
Yeah, he starts looking it over, and he like goes where it goes from common to umbral. He's like looking, and he's like, "Well, that's definitely umbral. Do you remember the tattoos on those guys? That was the same language, but it's broken. It's the characters are the same, but it's not. It's like a secret message."
Yes. Do you see this as well? And I flipped to where I found the in the ledger sheets where things were weird. I believe that this perhaps might, in fact, be the way to decode it. How are you with puzzles, my friend?
Pretty average, but I could try.
Yes, it was never my strong point either. So maybe together, if we work on it with your umbral and my knowledge of glyphs and ancient languages like Uncrashelian, we could figure this out if we work together on it, yes?
I agree. Okay. And then he climbs up Glaz and gets on his shoulders, and he's like, okay, I'll tell you, start doing puzzle stuff, and then I'll start pointing out umbral and explaining it like this.
Okay,
all right, so you think that the two of you, you would have to work together to both translate the umbral language and decipher the code that is hidden in it, and it's something that will probably take a significant amount of work to break the code and then translate the entire remainder of the journal. So that is up to you for how long you guys want to try to work on that, and if you want to delay returning the book.
Yeah, I think we start working on it, and I look to Cloak, and this is going to take quite a bit of time. Perhaps we should gather with the rest of the party to make a decision. Certainly we will not be able to deliver this in the timetable we were thinking of if we are going to try to decode it. I think this should be a decision that we make all together.
Why don't we just copy down what they have in the book, and then we can return it and then decipher it on our own time?
Oh, you brilliant little man, you. How difficult would it be for us to make a copy?
Time consuming. Just imagine that you're going to take a smallish notebook that's full of writing, and you're going to copy it by hand.
Oof. So basically, it would take almost as long to decipher it as to make a copy. Is that what I'm feeling?
No. You could copy it much faster. Certainly, there are people who are skilled at doing exactly that. If you want to say hire a scribe to do it for you, they could do it more swiftly and with greater accuracy and fewer errors, probably, since that's their trade. But
that's another. Perhaps we could get a scribe, but then one more person knows what we don't want them to know. Of course, it's still encoded, but
it is indeed.
We just need the parts in umbral, and I know umbral, so I can do it.
There's another raucous peal of cheering and foot stomping and thumping that just sort of rises through the floor and shakes the door in its frame from downstairs.
Well, it seems as though they have. I'm assuming that Kane has finally knocked her down. Shall we go and see what is up and see what everyone else thinks about the idea of whether we want to decipher this or copy it or just return it as is and get paid and be done with it?
Yeah, we can see what they want to do.
Well,
All right.
we probably should put this someplace safe. I mean, this is a nice place with good locks and things.
Oh, yes. And as you recall, the front door leads you into a little, like, antechamber where you have to knock on the iron door with a little slidey panel, and then once you're cleared by the bouncer on the inside, a clockwork mechanism actually opens the iron panel. So you can't even let yourself in or out, necessarily.
The actual rooms themselves.
Yeah. Oh, the
Maybe
rooms
something
really
themselves.
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lock on the door.
Question. Can I roll perception to locate to see if there's any like secret doors here, to see if like the staff here, like even though we lock the door and it doesn't look like the lock's been tampered with, they have a secret entrance where they come in and sneak through our shit and then take what they want?
Sure. If I recall correctly, you guys were in the second floor rooms.
Yeah.
Is that right?
With the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So why don't you go ahead and make me a wisdom perception check?
All right. Here we go. Fuck! I rolled a 1.
All right. So Cloak kind of scampers around the room and just sort of pokes all the walls, and then kind of, you're pretty sure there's no secret doors, Cloak.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? I think this place is pretty safe. I don't know, wherever you want to hide
I'm
it.
feeling much better about leaving the book here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe.
Eh,
And you know what? We can leave Puff Puff in here, and she can guard it.
Well, yes, because we probably should not bring the dog downstairs. So yes, let us head down and see what is up crazy here.
All right. Sorry.
So all I do is like take the journal, and then I go and look at Puff Puff and say, "Protect, guard it, okay," and then give it to Glaz to hide.
Okay. What do you do with the journal, Glaz?
Actually, Glaz, knowing that there are many people that just putting something on a high shelf becomes a difficult thing to retrieve. I look around and look for someplace high, because Glaz is 7 feet tall, with troll length arms. So finding someplace up high to put this so that it's out of sight and out of easy reach.
Okay. There is an armoire with sort of like decorative wood carving on the front that actually creates almost a little lip around the edge of the top of it. So you think you could tuck it back there, and someone would have to either physically feel around or actually get up there and look to find it. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'll put it. Actually, I'll take a look up there first just to make sure there's, that it does, there's not like, I don't know.
It's just a little dusty.
Yeah.
No
Dust is good.
bookworms.
Dust means people have been up there.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's just a little bit dusty.
Yep. So I blink, put it up there.
Sure, you toss it up there, no problem. At that point, Puff Puff, Cloak kind of like almost like butts you with her head a little bit and kind of nuzzles you and snuffles, and then goes and sort of screws herself in. Right, she does a little turn and then lays down at the foot of the bed in front of the armoire, and sort of puts her chin on her paws.
It'll be okay. I'll be right back. Okay.
She kind of.
Okay. And he like pets her on the head, and then he takes out like a little bit of meat and gives it to her.
She snaps it up eagerly. So this Cloak just sort of goes along with this, like everything's cool. Glaz, this is a little weird, because it's like, he didn't use hand motions. He's known this dog for like 3 hours. This is not a trained dog, or at least it's not responding to training. He's talking to it, and then it does stuff, and damn near sounded like they were conversing the way it kind of ruffled back at him. So it's weird. The strangeness of it doesn't seem to phase Cloak at all.
Yeah, I think you have found yourself a very special dog. From being from Bimia, I know lots of mages who have familiars that act almost in such ways, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
this dog seems to be acting. Interpreting it through your lens, it's behaving very much like a familiar, although you know that requires some sort of magic to create that bond and that connection between a master and a familiar. And as far as you know, no such thing happened between Cloak and this dog.
This dog is acting almost like it is a familiar of like one of the magic users, our teachers. Many magic users, they have familiars. I in fact might have one myself one day, but none of that happened. I will keep an eye on this dog for you, but he seems to be a good pup. And I sort of smile at him as I say good pup.
Puff Puff's tail immediately starts to go.
You are just very, very smart, aren't you?
Super smart.
Maybe we can research it when we get to the library or back to the Arcanum Mystica. The Arcanum.
The Arcanum Collegium.
Cardum.
Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I just slipped into my own campaign of the magic folks. Sorry.
All right. So you guys, with the journal well hidden and Puff Puff standing guard, you guys can slip out, lock the door, and you can see that there is quite a crowd that is gathered down on the first floor, and you can see that they're now starting to trickle back up to the second floor tables and the bar, and they're sort of animatedly talking about the fight that just happened. And you can see that when you look down over the balcony, you can see Kane and Kari sort of plopped at the bar, and people are basically just passing money to the bartender to buy them drinks and food for the rest of the day.
I would walk up to Kari and did you get him this time?
I will... And she just kind of like back into the glass.
Next time, dear. One of these days.
She doesn't look too bad, but one side of her face is definitely discolored and a little bit swollen. Although, Kane looks like he has a split lip and he's got a nice shiner starting right now as well. So it looks like they went at each other pretty good there.
Kane looks about as happy as you've ever seen him, but not boastfully happy. He just looks like he's just had a good time since he's been here, and he puts a hand sort of on Carrie's shoulder to sort of show comradely friendship.
Yeah. I go right back at him. There's no hard feelings here whatsoever, but she's obviously the pain is kicking in, the drinks are kicking in. She probably wants the drinks to kick in for the pain that's kicking in. She's good.
Sure. Right. So Riordan, you are feeling somewhat more yourself now after that strange wave of sort of melancholy washed over you and sort of just turned you inward for a good portion of the day. But you've spent some time down in the small shrine to Morena that resides below the Silk Scabbard. Actually through a hidden entrance in the building into the cartways, that great sprawling network that seems to stretch under all of Zobek. So you, for future reference, you have an entrance to the cartways in your sort of in your shrine area that leads to your shrine area.
Okay. I will say, is Kajia around still?
She is, yes. She's nearby. She sort of left you some space to yourself, and there's still a little bit of wine left in the bottle at the sideboard that she had poured and kind of left off to the side. It looks like she is flipping through one of the holy texts at the moment and just sort of studying or meditating on it.
I'll call out, Kajia, I'm feeling a little better now.
Oh, she snaps the book closed and stands up. She's a middle-aged human woman with long, sort of broad curls, dark hair that just cascades down her back and shoulders. And she is wearing a fine not a formal gown, but a very, very nice sort of expensive dress. And she pads over on these soft slippered feet and places her hand on your shoulder, and she says, "I'm so glad to hear it. You're feeling more yourself then?"
I am. I'm not quite sure what came over me, but something's been weighing on my mind. When I was back home, I was taught to protect myself a little better than I have done so on our last excursion, and that was mostly due to my father's suit of armor, heavy plate that he wore, and he taught me how to use it as well and still move in it at the same time. I was hoping that I might be able to purchase or find a similar suit of armor, no doubt of nowhere near the same quality that he wore.
She runs the back of her fingers down your shirt and sort of plucks at that slash that the robed cultist cut into your silk shirt and says, "Yes, this doesn't look like it's going to do to protect you if you're going to be getting into more of this business."
Exactly, and if I have a new dagger, then I should have something to protect myself with as well, I should think.
Yeah, that seems prudent. I'm not sure where you would go to procure such things, but I'm sure in the market district there are smiths.
Very well, I will speak with these smiths. Thank you again, Kajia, for your help.
Of course. And she kind of pats the side of your cheek very fondly and warmly, and she says, "I'm glad you're feeling better. Now go on. It sounds like something's happening up there, and I suspect your friends are at the center of it."
No doubt they are. I'll pick myself up and go and find them.
All right. So about the time you guys are coming down from the second floor, Glaz and Cloak is wandered off. He's been distracted by the strange beaded sash that a colorful fellow is wearing at the end of the bar. But you can see Riodan emerging from the back hallway as well.
Greetings, friends. How goes it?
We did battle. It was not in my favor. Drink? Kari says, kind of swaying a little bit in her stool.
Why, darling, you seem like you've been quite bruised up, as does Kane. Well, I'm glad to see that you're not
Kane
fighting with your
winks.
words, Kane.
Kane just sort of like, he goes to give Reardon a wink, and then he mentions the lack of talking, and it just all the humor falls from his face, and he glares at him.
As they say,
Reardon,
sticks and stones may break my bones. Go ahead.
I don't think I could survive the onslaught of words, Kari says in one of the closest things that's ever been a joke for her.
Kane looks at the party like, "Oh my goodness," but he doesn't say anything.
Well, how are the others?
Speaking of the others, here they come. Or at least Glaz. Cloak is like poking at some guy's silken beaded sash.
Kari, Captain Obvious style, points over to Glass.
That's right, Gary.
There you are.
Hello, Glass.
You feeling better? You were not looking too good when we last saw you.
I'm feeling marvelous now, thank you, darling. Something in the water, perhaps, but all better now.
Well,
What
yes,
mischief have you gotten yourself up to?
Oh, not mischief as much as, you know me, reading. We decided we'd take a little peek at this diary, this ruminations of Werner Strauss. You are familiar with the Strauss family nasty group. But this apparently belonged to him. There is a coded message towards the end, and I sort of open it up. Well, I look around a little bit. Is there like little private tables? Because we're up at the bar right now, right?
Well, if you went up to... Yeah, you guys are up at the bar. There are booths, and it looks like since the crowd is kind of dispersed and a bunch of people have gone back up to the second floor, it looks like one of the booths is vacant, so you can snag one, and that has a little more privacy.
Maybe we should talk over here and sort of bring them all over, and when we all sit down.
They are spacious and comfortable and easily enough to fit all 5 of you. And they have sort of like half wall or 3/4 wall dividers between them. So it's excellent between that and the cushions at deadening the sound from one booth to the other. And it gives you plenty of like getting away from the aisle. So it looks like these booths are built with privacy and comfort in mind.
Question. What's the aerial view look like?
Looking from the balcony?
Yeah. Is there a balcony overhanging this, or is there something?
Right. So I will go ahead and let's see if you guys can see this well. Can you see the map? Is that parsing? So there's the first floor. You can see the bar area there. This way. There's the second floor. So you can see there's another bunch of gambling and dining tables, and they overlook the first floor bar, booths, and pits.
So we'd be tucked underneath.
You'd be across. You'd be down and across
From the balcony. Okay.
Yeah. So here's the balcony. Here's the booths.
Gotcha.
Okay. So no one above us. That's what I'm taking.
No,
from that.
there will be no one above you.
Okay. As they're talking, I would just keep an eye on everyone and see who's trying to pay attention to us and that kind of stuff. So.
Okay. Why don't you give me a wisdom perception check at disadvantage?
Okay, I can do that. 18 total.
Nice. Okay, so you're keeping a pretty close eye out. You can see that occasionally the bartender seems to sweep his attention over to you. That guy with the wearing the vest and sleeveless shirt showing off his giant guns and tattoos. He kind of keeps an eye over at you, but you kind of get the feeling that he's more seeing if you guys need more drinks or anything, and he's going to have some sent over. It doesn't look like he's close enough to listen in, and nobody seems to be trying to eavesdrop or sneak in to your space.
So it's common practice what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of gather from it.
It seems like he knows these guys. They've got they're riding a little bit of a high right now. Business is booming, and so he's making sure they're taken care of.
Okay. You just like, that's what he would do from while this conversation is going on, and then chiming in whenever. But yeah, that's what Cloak's doing.
Yep. So I show them the passage and point out. I go, this part here. There's much of it else is not very interesting, but this part here, it seems to be an umbral and is also has some kind of encoding to it. A cipher is needed, and he flips back forward in the book to the ledger part of it that seems odd. I believe that this is in fact the key, the cipher to it. However, it is quite complex. It will take us some quite a bit of time to translate it ourselves, or even to try to copy it and not bungle the message in the copy itself. The question becomes, we had spoken of taking a quick look and then delivering this to our client back at the Arcana Collegium. But if we want to know what this message is, we will have to delay that, and I do not know what that might do to our task. As far as a timeline, I did not negotiate this particular...
Do we have a timeline set
You
for
weren't
returning
given-
the book?
Yeah, no, you were not given a strict timeline. However, it's up to you how long you want to sit on the fact that you have recovered this thing that they wanted back badly enough to hire adventurers to go and get it. Hard to say how, if that came to their attention, how well they would take it.
How long did it take us to sort of track down the Black Shields and get down here, and to actually, was it the same day that we found them, or was we been working on this mission for weeks or something?
It had probably been a day or two since you were hired to do it till you came down there. So it's probably been 3 days since you were hired.
We got plenty of time.
We got a whole hour.
Within the week
Well-
is certainly reasonable for a recovery job, yes?
I want to know what it says in Umbral, she says, kind of like pawing across the table.
It says nothing unless you know the code.
Maybe our friends who hired us know the code.
Well, I mean, this is one option that Glass and I discussed, is that we can return the book, but maybe after we may possibly hire a scribe to copy down the encoded part, or I could do it, or...
Yes, I certainly think we should have a copy before we hand it over. I mean, you can't just go handing off books of arcane power to people who give you money, I mean.
Well,
yes, arcane power. It's so powerful that we should have that in our repertoire because it might be. It also might be a secret treasure map.
Glass is looking uncomfortable. He's like, I don't think that it is full of arcane power. It may be just...
Glass, it's fine. It's cool.
Don't worry about it, Glass. I'm in blood magic, and that's fine. We'll take a copy just in case. And
do you know a trustworthy scribe?
No. You can't trust any scribes. They're all very untrustworthy by nature. All they do is copy things down, constantly stealing other people's work, in my opinion. But we'll find someone else. We'll find someone to do it. Perhaps you can do it, Glaz, or Cloak, as you mentioned. I need to find someone who can make armor. Maybe we can split up, go shopping. That might be the person I'm looking for, yes. Do you know him?
Also, did you get your money from what we found down there?
I think so. Kajia brought in my things.
Okay, well, you got the extra 14 gold then. Okay.
Yes, that extra 14 gold that I have noted down.
that I totally noted down previously, before right now.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure that no one took your money.
Fear not, Kajia is a trusted friend of mine. Older than most.
All right. So, someone asked if anyone knew a scribe. Kane, you're aware of an establishment in the market district called Olmar's Rare Books. It is
a scribe.
It is a yeah. He's he's well versed with his scribe's tools. And you know that expertise, my friend.
Yeah.
You know that not only do rare books go through there, but occasionally, if one knows the proper way to ask, Olmar might be able to acquire or duplicate documents that otherwise shouldn't be in your possession, that sort of thing. So you know that he has a reputation for being accurate, fast, and discreet.
Okay. Kane pulls out sort of like a business card for this guy and puts it down, and then he's sort of been staring at the book, and he reaches down and with one slender finger with sort of a vicious nail on the end, he points towards the book, specifically under the name Stross. And
well, let's keep in mind that the book is hidden in the room. It is not present at the table right now.
Oh god, no, sorry, I completely forgot that you guys didn't actually bring it down. In which case, he nods.
That would have been too useful.
Sort of essentially a business card down for this scribe, and he nods, sort of giving his seal of approval to the card.
There you go.
Friend of Kane's. Well, isn't it just lovely how many friends Kane has around in scholarly circles? It's
because he's so talkative.
He's a chatty guy.
It just gives everyone like the death glare as he looks around.
He's got one of those faces you can just trust, and a voice like butter.
You just watch his like teeth descend as he looks around and just like.
I do
I
it
rub
right
my
back. It's
face,
like
having
for-
felt
for-
his wrath recently.
I do it back for Riordan. This is a like intensely erotic moment. Like,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
for Riordan.
like it's like Klein's like licking blood from like his lips, and like there's blood across his teeth, and it's like a deeply intense. And the Riordan's just like,
Sit hot in
And
here.
Riordan's just like flirting back, licking his lips. Yeah.
Glaz is absolutely clueless. He picks up the card. He has lovely penmanship.
Oh, I bet he does.
I do
All right.
not know how you
And
have
it's
survived this long, she says, looking at Glass.
What?
It's not the size of the penmanship, is it?
Kari,
Oh, no, see, it's
so
very
as you're
it's the strokes.
as you guys are
delicate
spending a little more time interacting, Kari, something that's kind of been tickling at the back of your awareness for most of the day now is starting to resolve itself into a little bit of a sharper form. As you are looking at each of your companions, with the exception of Glaz, for a second, you don't know if maybe the light hits them strangely, but their colors of their skin, their eyes, their clothes, they seem washed out and drained, like faded almost for a moment, and then you kind of blink and that sensation passes. But there is something naggingly familiar about them that is different than it was before, and it doesn't take you long to put your finger on it. It feels like the touch of the
They're
shadow
shadow
realms
touch-
on them.
Yeah.
They are shadow touched, yes.
Oh, this is not how I wanted us to come closer together, she says, shaking her head, and you can see that kind of look of, I need to sober up right now, flash across her face.
I mean, I do you want to go like to a different table? Wait,
No. No. You all have been touched by shadow.
More
I
than
mean-
once.
She
I-
slams her
I-
fist down on the table, and
I cuff Riordan round the back of their head, like realizing that, like,
Again, intensely erotic.
ooh,
I would
Playing into
assume
a hand.
Glaz in
Thank
his studies knows what that means.
Hmm.
Of the
What's
shadow
that?
roads. Glaz would know what that means when she says it.
Why don't you
and
make an
with how
intelligence
assertive
arcana
she's
check?
being about it, I'd hope. And she just kind of looks back and forth from Riordan to Kane, like I am just.
Ooh, that's a 16. That's dirty 20. I'm sorry,
Nice.
22.
Yeah, that's great. So as she's describing it, you do recall your studies telling you about, warning you, basically, of the insidious and corruptive nature of the Shadow Realm and its magic. And in fact, that is what ultimately caused the downfall of House Strauss. They're dealing with shadow magic, their dealings with the Shadow Realm. They essentially sold their souls to it, that and trucking with devils. So they did the double whammy of pacts with shadow and diabolism. And so you know that shadow magic can be studied, but it has to be done so very, very carefully and with great attention to what the hell you're doing, because it's very easy to go too far, and now the magic starts to take hold of you.
One page of the Necronomicon per day. Yeah.
Yeah. Take it easy. Yeah. Let your eyes rest between bleeding sessions.
Nerds.
That's
some readers may experience epileptic seizures. Please put the book down.
If you're starting to feel faint or insane, please put the book down.
where on the door did the shadow touch you?
So Kari and Glaz, you're able to, both of you with your knowledge and background, are able to come up with that black wave of energy that ripped out as that figure in the white linen killed that poor bastard stretched over the altar. That must have left the touch of shadow on everyone that succumbed to it. So in game terms, those of you, everyone except Kari and Glaz have 1 level of shadow corruption, and that's what's causing your disadvantage on wisdom and charisma checks made against most people.
Question. I'll write that down real quick. What can you do about shadow corruption?
Well,
I mean, I know a couple of
fortunately-
things. I'm not sure what Glaz knows them.
Fortunately, Glaz and Kari know that simply given enough time without any further exposure to shadow, it will fade away on its own. And you know that their exposure, the two of you, has been very, very light, very brief. So you expect over the course of perhaps a week or so, the touch will just fade naturally.
Just a week. Okay.
Just a week.
Oh,
and that is
does Cloak know that for a fact?
No. This is what
Okay.
Kari and Glaz know.
Okay.
You also know that magic can speed the process, but it takes relatively powerful magic to do it. A spell like Dispel Evil and Good can purge shadow corruption from a creature.
She looks at Cloak. The longer you are affected by shadow magic, the sooner you'll become one of my people. She said,
Oh.
angry with him for interrupting with so many jokey remarks that she just wants to be
Yeah.
like, you know what, for
Like,
once
hey.
you're gonna listen to me and, take me seriously.
So do I get up to your height then, or do I just stay the same size?
You get smaller.
Oh, I can't. Why? That's
He might even,
bullshit.
Kari, he might even turn into a goblin.
She looked at him like,
Shadow.
in her
Goblin.
drunken, trying to... Shadow Goblin, she says, pointing her hand dramatically and shaking it at him. That'll teach
go,
you.
Well, the trick is that it means, well, since we know it came from these cultists that we were dealing with, if we have to face them again very soon, it means that this could keep getting worse and worse before you get any better, and that gets very, very bad.
Perhaps that is why the people needed the book. Perhaps
I'm worried
keeping this
that's-
book from them is not the right thing to do.
I'm
It is
more
not our
worried that-
job to know.
We'd give them the actual copy. We'd just make a copy of our own. So they'd have the
Then-
book and be able to do whatever they want with it, but also so could.
Well, I am more worried that someone is perhaps following in the footsteps of House Strauss. This is the path that
That
they
would
went
be
down.
terrible.
Yes.
Well, as adventurers, they would just hire us back out again to go stop this, right? So,
Presumably.
in hindsight, we can jump the gun and get all the information that we need beforehand and be really good students.
How do we know that they're not going to take the book to learn of Diablism themselves?
This is another thought. What if it's a rival wannabe gang or cult trying to learn a little bit about what these guys are up to so they can get up to no good themselves? Do we even know who hired us? I don't remember. I rarely remember any mortal that I speak with, except for you, and sometimes I forget you two.
There's the
the rest of you-
Collegium.
Yeah, the rest of you who
That's
weren't terribly
right.
drunk, you remember that you were hired at the Arcane Collegium by an assistant of Master Diviner Rudwin Whitstone.
Yes, Mr. Whitston.
Well, it's
We trust
assistant.
Yes.
Can
Yeah, you
I
didn't
roll
meet-
past insight?
Past insight for what? What are you wondering?
Look at the past.
About the assistant.
If you thought he was on the level or not, sure. Yeah, you can give me give me a wisdom insight check, and you can do it without disadvantage.
But there's
All
also
right.
a wild magic surge for Carrie from Mr. Genly Eye.
Oh.
Surprise!
Was that Rodwin Windstone?
Yeah.
Rudwin Whitstone. Yeah,
Whitstone.
Whitstone.
The Whitstone. Oh.
Whit-
I
Yeah.
got I got an 11 for insight.
Okay. The junior wizard who you spoke to on behalf of Master Whitstone seemed to be on the level, and seemed more like they were just sort of delivering a message, and they didn't seem like they had any personal stake in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, the assistant just kind of was delivering a message. He didn't seem nervous at all.
What if the apprentice, this understudy or whatever, is Patsy and is actually this Rudwin Whitstone who's up to no good? Then again, if he's from the Collegium, he's probably all right, so we might be able to ask his help on such a matter.
Yeah, I think we're all way overthinking this right now. Either we copy the damn shit, or we just go deliver the book.
Yes, it's incredibly convoluted if we don't go and see this.
At the very beginning of the adventure, and we need to make a decision.
I don't know if I should walk out that door because a horse might trample me. I don't know. What the fuck?
Could do that. They do that sometimes to gnomes.
Rocks fall and people die. It is a true fact.
It is known.
Speaking of rocks falling, my wild magic surge target must carry a small stone from this spot at all times.
Must. Hey, all right. Interesting.
I'm gonna go take a stone from the fighting pit and keep it with me, and just kind of vow to the hunter that I will see Kane in this ring again, and I will get my win.
All right, no problem. All right, you find, amongst the sand and the light gravel, you find a little bit of.
Please tell me that it's stained red.
I was just about to say, you find at the part where you were basically knocked on your face, you find a pebble that is now crusted with dried blood.
I put it next to the 3 gems worth 20 GP, and.
Oh, good.
Those things that I've definitely divided with the party.
Yep.
All right. So, what's the plan with the book?
Let's take the book to this Whitstone, see what he has to say, and if we don't trust him, then we can decide then and there, can't we?
We do not want to take it to Omar's first.
Oh yes, let's take it to Omar's. I forgot about him. See, I don't remember any mortals.
So, a quick stop to Omar's. Well, it is later afternoon, yes? Getting to the early evening, drop off at Omar's,
yes.
Maybe you can an overnight job, and then we deliver it, or in one day following. We'll still be within a week.
You are on your own for travel this night, Kari says, completely face smashed up, not wanting to go anywhere. She's interested in sleep.
Well, we should,
Do you guys want to stay here, and me and we can have a chatty Kathy Kane take us to talk to Omar to get a copy made.
I feel like being divided at this time is not wise with an item of such power.
Then come with us, you old drunkard.
Power, it has just got information.
But I don't think a giant group of us is really inconspicuous at the same time. Especially, no offense, Glass, a tall trollkin walking around that you would definitely recognize as you hired for a job.
Remember that Zobek is a particularly cosmopolitan city. So, I mean, your company, while it's odd, potentially, doesn't really attract all that much attention here.
Kane also looks relatively put out about the fact that he's playing tour guide when there are beautiful women walking around scantily clad, the bars. He knows the barman and kind of doesn't want to be a freaking tour guide right now. He wants to drink and do bad things.
Go on another adventure.
I kind of sidelong look at Kane and just kind of narrow my eyes, kind of like when a cat does when it's really pissed off at you.
Mm-hmm.
Me?
Okay, well,
I see you and your wandering eyes. I know what you're thinking.
I mean, if you guys want to, stay here and,
why don't the 3 of us head off? These 2 can stay here and get up to whatever mischief they get up to.
And I would like to take Papa for a walk. So, I mean, it's we have an excuse. So,
yes, the dog will want to take a walk. It will need to poop.
Yes, I want to poop. And pee.
Well said.
All right.
So, Donovan
So,
loved peeing in the room.
so who is heading off to the market district to find Olmar's rare books?
I will go. Oh,
Okay.
So everyone
Fine.
except
So-
from
Everybody but Kari.
Yeah.
oh no, if
Yes,
Kari's
sir.
staying, I'm staying. I'm staying.
Okay. All right. So just the other three then. No problem. So you can head back upstairs, unlock the room, retrieve the book, which is right where you left it. And when you open the door, Puff Puff is already standing up, and like her ears are sort of pricked forward, and her tail is low. But when she sees you, she sort of picks her ears up, and her tail starts to wag.
Yay! Okay, we're gonna go for a walk. You ready?
And starts to like prance a little bit.
Okay. Yeah,
Did that
and then
just-
I
I don't believe
Yes.
we've met.
oh yeah, this is Riordan. This is Puff Puff. Puff Puff. This is Riordan.
All right, so he mentions this in this beautiful golden furred hound, almost like golden retriever fur, but in when it catches the light just right, it almost seems to glitter, and you can't tell for sure if it's like just kind of a trick of the glare or something like that. This dog pads over to you on sort of broad feet, and it's big. It's probably a good 3 or 4 feet tall, 3 feet tall at the shoulder. I mean, it's a big dog, mastiff sized, and it kind of gives you a snuffle at your hand, and then licks your hand once, and sort of walks in a circle back over toward Cloak.
No, we can't sell sex. Okay, I established that last time. You're out of it. You missed it.
How
No,
do you
we're not
read
selling it.
my mind? So, quite fascinating. Let's be on our way. With Puff, was it? Like,
Puff Puff.
Puff Puff.
Puff Puff. A couple things I do because I know it has shiny fur is I take a sheet and like I wrap it around the dog, and I also like get a rope and I walk like to make a leash for Puff Puff.
So you made a cloak for the dog.
Yes.
All right, got it.
Cloak dog.
All right, so Puff kind of, while you're doing this, Puff Puff sort of cants her head to the side, but doesn't seem to struggle or resist. And then as soon as you tie the rope around her neck, she sort of walks over to the door and looks at it, and then looks at you, and then looks at the door.
We're
looks at you.
going. Just calm down. We're gonna be going. Okay.
Right.
You guys ready?
So you guys, yep. You guys take your leave. You head down the stairs, out the front door. There's a bouncer by the door who sort of nods to you as he opens the door and lets you out. And back out onto the street. You guys have let's see. You don't have Kane directing you. Why don't we have? So basically, you just have a name of a bookshop. How do you want to find it?
It's in the marketplace.
Market.
You know, it's somewhere in
Market
the
district's
market
big.
district.
I also keep an eye out for any armorers around as well, because I'm going to go
Sure.
commission a piece.
Glaz, on just a hunch, is going to assume that a scribe and rare books are going to be somewhere close to the Arcanum Collegium, just because that's probably where some business comes from. I could be wrong, but that's the direction he would go. You can, Dan, if you want to say that throws me at disadvantage because it's the wrong direction, or advantage because I was thinking right. Either way.
Sure. Go ahead and make a. We'll call it an intelligence investigation check, or if someone wanted to do, say, a wisdom investigation for navigating a city, you could do that as well.
I would do the wisdom navigation, but my way of going about it is I would find vendors that are selling food and buy food up from them and be like, oh, have you heard of Omar's rare books? And ask them information like I am a tourist and look helpless decisively and be like, I don't know which way. Is it this way? Is it that way? Which way is it? And then and that would be my role. Let's see.
Sure.
Glaz got a 14.
A 14 and a 4. All right. You get so you head up to somebody and you ask them about the rare books, and the woman who is setting out basically loaves of bread and some pastries says, "Oh, sure. You just want to take this street down here, take a left 3 blocks down." And then the man in the next stall goes, "What? No, that's rubbish. She's sending you the wrong way. You want to go down that street." And they just start ramping up into a screaming argument about which way to get to this bookstore. So they are zero help to you, Cloak. However, let's see. You, Glaz, are able to orient yourself and locate the directions to the bookshop, which is more toward Lower Zobek than the Collegium district. So your initial instinct was wrong, but you're able to get some proper directions and get yourself pointed the right way. So you guys make your way down through the market district. As you're going, you can see there are marketplace squares that are basically packing up for the day, and you can find... You'll definitely see. Let's see. In the market district, I think you're less going to find smithies. You might find some selling their wares, but you won't find where they make them. And as you're passing through one of these open markets, you can see that there is a dwarf woman, and she is wearing sort of a burn-scarred leather tunic. And she has her sleeves of her linen shirt rolled up, showing that her forearms are kind of scarred and also thickly muscled. And she is packing up crates, and you can see that she is very carefully packing away a suit of armor as she packs her wares up for the day.
Excuse me there. Hello.
So she stops what she's doing at your approach, and she turns and sort of blinks up at you. She looks to be, I mean, it's difficult judging the age of a dwarf, really, but she has long, sort of dirty blonde hair that's just kind of roughly braided and pulled into a bun at the back of her head, and she has these piercing blue eyes, and she sort of dusts her hands off, and she says, "Well, you got here a bit late. I'm just about packing up for the day. Is there anything I can help you with, Master?"
I certainly hope so, good dwarf. My name is Riordan, and I was hoping to purchase a suit of heavy armor, something that could protect me from blows of my enemies. And you look like the hearty sort that might be able to do such a thing.
So she kind of puts one hand on her hip, like like on a fist, and just gives you this appraising look. And she says, "Well, you don't look like the sort, but yeah. Oh, both hands. All right." She says,
I double hip.
Yeah. She says, "You don't look the sort, but I'm not one to judge on appearances. I think we can sort you out. What manner of armor are you thinking? Are you looking for
some kind of plate mail? I am proficient in using such things, good stout woman."
Paula will do. Paula Everforge, if you don't mind. But
Paula
yes, I can absolutely make you plate armor. I have some that will need a little bit of customizing. She kind of looks at your hips and your shoulders. You could probably make do, but it wouldn't be comfortable. I wouldn't recommend it. So, if you're in the market for plate armor, that will run you 1,500 gold pieces.
1,500 gold pieces. Done.
All right, then. If you wish to take it as is, that can be arranged. If you want me to customize it to your measurements, that will take me a day or two.
I'm in no rush. I should be in the city for some time on business.
Very well. If you don't mind. And she kind of grabs a cord that has knots tied in it at very regular intervals.
Not at all.
And she grabs a little piece of like a charcoal stick, and she starts taking your measurements and then jotting them down on the inside of a leather bracer she wears on her left arm. After she finishes taking your measurements, she says, "All right then, you can find me at my smithy in the gear district 2 days from today, let's say."
Very well. I'll see you then, Paula Everforge.
What was your name?
Riordan is my name.
She jots the name down. Well then, Riordan, I look forward to concluding our business. And she flashes you a smile.
I return to my companions.
All right.
Any luck with that scribe?
Yes, we have found the.
Yep.
We have found located where it is. It's closer down to Lower Zobek. I was thinking incorrectly about it being near the Collegium, but we know where we're going now. Did you find what you needed?
Most certainly I did. Paula Everforth.
You just hear Cloak in the distance. He's like, I don't need your directions anymore. Just stop fighting.
I think
So
he's
you
got it
can
in there.
recollect. At this point, you can see Cloak kind of coming back towards you. It looks like Puff Puff has him by the sleeve and is sort of pulling him down the street away from the arguing merchants toward you. And he's kind of yelling over his shoulder at them.
Okay, let's stop. Oh my God. Yes, Puff Puff, we're going. Okay, Jesus. All right. Yes. Hi. Everyone in this town's useless. That's what I've gleaned. I literally was like, what's the easiest way to get the blah 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 bookshop, you know? And then they're like, we're like, hey, go this way. No, go this way. Well, you should have suffered my brother. And then they were like, well, he was better than you anyway. And then they just started going at it. And then they're about to like go to blows right now. It's like,
Darling, I stopped listening 30 seconds ago. This is the way to the scribe.
Did someone cast a spell on you?
In a way, yes. Come on.
All right. So you make your way down, and you can see that Castle Shadowcrag to the north, perched up on its hill, is sort of side lit by the red light of the setting sun, and it looks like the dark stones are sort of stained with this just faint crimson sheen as day creeps on toward night. You make your way down toward Lower Zobek, and you find a sort of stout, sturdy-looking stone building, and there is a faded shingle hanging over the door that just has a quill, sort of a faded, flaking quill painted on it.
I look at the card, which has a quill on it, and I think that, yes, that matches. Yes, I think that this is our spot. Maybe we can see if we can find Omar. I go and is the door open or is it locked?
Yeah, the door is open.
Hello.
So, yep,
is
you
Omar
push your way in.
Knock, knock. Hello, you have business. We would like to do some commerce with you.
Okay, so you push your way in, and the main room is absolutely just filled with books piled on shelves. They line all four walls, and there is a desk in the center of the room, and as well as a smaller reading table, all just covered in books. And the place smells with that just faintly a commingled scent of dust and leather. You can see that the labels are that the shelves are labeled by category with these little like brass placards, and there is a dwarf leaning behind the desk. He's sort of reclining in a chair that creaks and squeaks under his weight, and you can just see his boots are his feet are up on the desk pointed at you, kind of eclipsing him, and there's just a big brown leather-bound book open in front, and you can see like a little bit of sort of black wisps of tight ringlet curled hair peeking out from behind there, and he just sort of flips a page.
Hello, are you Omar?
He a stubby finger holds up from behind the book.
Oh, I
What book
totally
is he
understand.
reading?
Yes, please, yes. Finish.
Sure. You can like creep forward and take a look at it, and it looks like it is a treatise on the history of the Gearforged and the Clanking Legion.
Oh. You see what he's reading?
All right, so you guys just going to wait for him to finish and like pay attention to you?
Oh, Glaz
Yeah.
absolutely would wait until someone finished a
Okay.
book because that's how Glaz is. I don't know whether Riordan's going to wait, but
Right. Puff just sort of sits down on her haunches next to Cloak. Riordan, you content to wait until this guy decides to acknowledge your presence?
No, not at all.
No.
Quite the opposite,
God,
in fact.
no. Yeah.
Goodness, no, why would I wait for someone else? Excuse me, good fellow, good dwarf, good stout man.
You hear there's sort of this heaving sigh. Be with you in a moment.
Well, I don't think he's going to be able to get this done overnight. The rate he's going, and that's reading as well. Writing takes longer.
You'll be surprised. I've seen people who can do both at the same time. It is quite impressive. But I don't know. But he does seem a little bit preoccupied. It's got a good book there, though. I'd be quite interested.
All right. So he turns the page one more time, reads while you guys kind of chatter amongst yourselves, and Riordan's foot starts tapping involuntarily. He sort of sighs, lays a little thin strip of leather bookmark in the pages, and poof, snaps it closed, and then sets it on the desk, and sort of leans forward, pulls his feet off the desk, and says, "Now then, how may I help?" He has sort of like watery, dark brown eyes, and his beard is the same color and same texture as his hair. So these very sort of tight ringlet curls, and he has his beard bound in a leather strap. Otherwise, you're sure it would just be all over the damn place.
Yes, we have heard you've come quite recommended by one of our companions, a Mr. Kane, chatty fellow. He said that you were quite adept at transcribing, and would do so with both some haste and discretion on particularly sensitive documents. Are you able to
what have you got
on any work at this time?
Show me what you got. What do you have there?
I like what you got.
I kind of look to Roden and Cloak as if it's okay, knowing that Glaz knows somewhat that he doesn't pick up on social clues, whether I should just drop this down.
So like he like takes the book out of Glaz's hand, and he like hops up on, I imagine it's like shorter, like where like Cloak can kind of like stand on his tippy toes a little bit, then like open to the umbral section, and he's like, "See this part umbral? It's like encoded. We just want that part copied, so we can have a copy of that."
He kind of rubs his forehead over his bushy black eyebrows just a little bit as Cloak starts yammering on, and he reaches out to grab the book. And if you don't stop him, he's going to grab a hold of it.
Yeah, at this point, I'll let him get it.
Okay. So he grabs it, slides it over, kind of looks at the cover, looks at the binding, and as he picks up the book, he sort of becomes much more animated. When he's talking to you, it looks like he could care less. Once he picks this thing up, his eyes sort of brighten a little, and his back straightens, and he starts going over it very, very meticulously and very quickly. And so once he gets to the inside cover and reads the inscription there, his eyes widen, and he finally looks at you and kind of looks you in the eye for the first time, Glaz, and says, "You wanted a copy made, you said?"
Yes, of the part in Umbral.
The
this particular ledger here, we would like to have a copy of as well.
Just those portions? And he flips quickly through the book and has you kind of point out and mark, not with ink, but with little ribbons.
I'm sorry, I talked right over top of you.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. He just marks the pages that you pointed out. How quickly? Well, this section in the back is going to be tricky. I'm going to want to go slow and double check to make sure I'm not making any errors, because I don't speak Umbral, I think it is.
Umbral, wow.
All right. So I assume you want to make sure it's accurate, so you're willing to be flexible on the timing. So we'll say 24 hours.
24 hours would be acceptable. That would be great. How much would it be for the entire book in case there is something we have missed?
The entire book? Give me till noon, day after tomorrow.
Ooh, I'm not sure we want to wait that long. I think we'll just have to trust ourselves, friends, yes? I look
That's
to
up
Rio
to
you.
Dan and cloak.
I think a few pages should be fine.
Very well.
This
Now
ledger piece.
the encoded part of the book is probably round about half the notebook is the issue. So you're looking at getting most of this book copied either way.
Okay.
Which is why it's
So,
going to take a fair amount of time.
And what is your rate for a discreet, if you understand what I'm saying, copy?
He gives you kind of a sidelong nod and says, "Oh, I understand completely. For a job such as this, 25 gold."
I tell you all scribes, professional liars. 25 gold is reasonable.
He gives you sort of a tight-lipped smile and says, "Good then."
Right. Can you throw in, and can I find a book on being able, like, portals and the mechanics of portals and how they work, and if there's a book on different realms, possibly?
So are you just looking on the shelves, or are you asking him if he has this sort of thing?
Kind of a little bit of both. Kind of like going through and be like, do you have any books that you can throw in with that are kind of like, about, like there's a shadow fae and all that kind of stuff, but maybe like stuff that kind of explains, travel between realms a little bit more?
Huh. You want to know about shadow roads?
Well, yeah, and maybe in like other routes of transportation, or other places to go.
I don't know that I have anything on that now, but I know some people I can speak to, and I may be able to acquire one. If you'd like me to look for something along those lines, I can do it.
How much do those kind of books run?
Depends how much it costs me to get my hands on it.
So he's
But
a
you should
broker
understand-
as well as a scribe.
You should understand the more esoteric titles are going to command a greater price, as the people who have them are very reluctant to part with them.
So what are you talking? What's like estimate? Like,
Again, it's going to depend on what I can find and what kind of information it has in it. If you're looking for accurate locations and accounts of shadow or fey roads or other realms, or the means to travel safely between them, that is a book like that's a kingly find.
Yes, they guard them at the libraries of Bimia. We have to have special permission, and they sit with us when we are even looking at things like that, my little friend.
You might have better luck at the Arcane Collegium. He kind of looks at you and looks at your cloak, Glaz, and says, "You look like the sort they might talk to."
Yes, maybe we could get entrance to the library, and we could go and spend a day reading or so.
That friend of ours there might be able to help us out.
That is true as well.
So if you want me looking up through my channels, my little friend, I can do that. But I'm going to warn you, if you're looking for this kind of text, which is bordering on magical knowledge, if not outright magical knowledge, depending on what you're looking for, that's going to cost.
I would say keep your ear out, and then if you hear anything, slide it by me and see what I want to do then.
You going to come by and check, or do you stay somewhere I can send word if I come up with anything interesting?
I'll come by and check.
Fair enough. So then, 25 gold, 24 hours from now for this. He pats the diary.
I'm going to roll insight when he says 25 gold to see if he's being truthful about the price.
All right, you may do so with disadvantage.
All right, here we go. No, 7.
7. Hard to get a read on him, so you don't catch any signs of deception or skullduggery from him. Other than apparently being willing to look for strange and possibly dangerous books.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine with that price.
Okay. So, sorry, go ahead.
I have never hired a scribe before, so I assume you are fair dealing with us, my good friend. So we will pick it up in 24 hours.
See you tomorrow night then. And he sort of takes the book and he walks you to the door and just sort of waits until you leave, and then he closes it behind you, and you hear a heavy bolt get thrown from inside.
What a pleasant fellow.
I
like the fact that he's going to keep the book safe and has locked the door. Glass being clueless.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, we'll try to keep an eye on everything. Yeah, back to Riordan's fuck house.
Yes, back to my
you guys
house.
You guys can make your way. Oh, hugs time. Hello, Archibald.
One of
You can make your
fuck houses I keep.
You make your way back to the silk scabbard, no problem, as night is settling over Zobek. Much more comfortable now for your Shadow Fae friend. Were she out and about?
How do we find Kane and Carrie?
How do we find
gone
Kane and Carrie?
I would have gone straight to bed. I mean, I was beaten to within, like, unconsciousness
You
and then back up, right?
You were beaten beyond unconsciousness, like
Yeah,
3
so
fucking times.
4 times.
Akari will stay with some of the people downstairs, but after that, she pretty much heads to Reverie straight away because she's not feeling tip-top.
Yeah, Kane's gonna get some rest as well.
All right.
Aren't there like a bunch of people in your guys' room that you paid for?
We can send them away. We
Sure they
paid for
charge for the
I-
body
I
out.
Oh, no. I mean, there were people in those rooms. They've moved on.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
you
unless
don't
you
get the
guys
whole
wanted them
night.
on.
No.
Unless you wanted them on retainer for the whole night, in which case we got to
Yeah.
talk about some more money.
Dan Dillon.
No.
Professional pimp. Yeah, no, I need some rest. Like, that fight was a good fight, but it took a number out of Kane despite the fact he won. So yeah.
Alrighty. So when you return to the Silk Scabbard, the commotion in the common areas has died down, and Kane and Kari are nowhere to be seen. So you guys can settle in for the evening if there's nothing else specific you guys want to do, and you can finish a long rest without interruption.
Yes, I'll go and find Kasia and rest, and the two of you, I'll see you in the morning.
Sure.
Sweet dreams.
I'm gonna order food up to our Glaz and my room because we have 3 mouths in there, and we might as well eat. But for the bartender, I mentioned it's the Chippendales bartender with the vest, and he's just like, that's how I picture him in my head.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So what can I do for you, little man? So he would walk up and he's like, hey, can I get like 3 orders of meat upstairs and some water? And I believe Glaz wants wine? Mead. That's what it was.
Yes, all of that can be arranged, my friend.
Okay.
He smiles and gives you a wide smile from underneath his waxed mustache.
How much is that?
Let's see. You just want a meal and some
3 meals and some mead.
three meals and some meat. Yeah,
And some water. Get water up there.
like
Fuckhouse prices.
a number of.
The fuckhouse
It's
table.
it is a comfortable inn. So meal they are comfortable meals. So each meal is 5 silver, and then do you want like if it's just do you want a bottle? So 10 gold for a fine mead.
Oh, I just wanted a
Or
glass. Glass is a
2
lightweight.
2 silver for a glass of fine mead or a bottle of crappy mead.
Yeah, no. Glaz wants the good stuff, but he only wants one because he's a lightweight.
Got
Okay.
it. So 17 silver total will sort you out.
Okay.
So it's 2 gold. I would put 3 gold down and be like, if anyone's ask around for us, and he like leans in, he's like, you don't see anything, and he slides him.
He sort of like pats his hand on the bar, and as he does, the coins just vanish into his big mitt, and he says, "My friend, I have no idea who you are."
All right, let's go, Glass. And then,
I introduced myself and everything, and now he doesn't know who I am.
Glass, I'll explain that as well in the room.
All right, so you guys head up to your room. Shortly thereafter, your drink and food are brought up.
Yeah.
So you guys, can settle in, rest away the evening. Kari, you're obviously the first one recovered and awake, as your reverie only takes about half the time that these guys need to hit the sack. So you're awake well before dawn and have kind of the place to yourself until they get up. So the rest of you, you all arise and get yourselves together the following morning.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I have a quick question. Am I within 1 mile of a weak ley line?
All right. Currently, you are not.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Just checking.
Yep.
As I would sleep the whole night if it goes by interrupted, but Cloak doesn't sleep on the bed. He sleeps under the bed
Nice.
because A, he's hidden, and B, he finds it more comfortable sleeping on a hard surface. He just has the pillow kind of like propped up, and I imagine Puff Puss down there like curled up under him too. And they're currently sleeping under the bed. And when he like wakes up, he just kind of like scoots from under the bed, and he's like,
Yep. No problem. So, is there anything you guys wanted to attend to until the next night when your copy of the book should be ready?
Oh, I go and speak with Kasia. So,
sure.
This is just about money because I've agreed to this huge financial investment.
Yes, you have.
I've signed a lease on this mortgage. So I go and speak with Kasia. It's like, Kasia, might I have a moment of your time regarding huge sums of gold?
She was about to say, "Of course," and then the huge sums of gold part comes up, and she sort of falters. She's like, what? Sure. What manner of huge sums of gold are you referring to?
Well, about that plate armor we spoke of briefly.
Ah.
Well, I know that my family has made vast contributions to this church in its time, and I was wondering if any of that was lying around still. Didn't my parents leave me anything behind? An inheritance, perhaps?
Her face falls a little bit. She's, I'm afraid the vast majority of the family's wealth was seized by the crown. How much money do you need?
1,500 gold.
She chokes. That is going to be difficult, my dear. No, we don't have anything remotely resembling that amount of money available. So sorry.
Any idea where I might find such an amount?
I mean,
Well, then it's Plan B.
Yeah, I'm. No, I don't know a way that you could reasonably acquire that much money on right now.
Never mind.
Sorry.
People tend to do what I ask them to.
Fair enough.
I thank her and I'll go to my armorer, Paula, if she is ready.
So she's not ready until the day after. I think she said she needed 2 days to make the alterations to your armor.
Then I'll wait for her to to make it before, right?
You're gonna wait till she makes the alterations.
Oh boy.
It's the kind of person.
Note to self: do not go with Riodan when to pick up his armor.
He
Right.
didn't put
Okay.
down a deposit. I mean, what can I say?
So if there is nothing else anybody wants to mess with, then as nightfall approaches, the time to acquire your copy arrives.
The whole group heading back at this time, I guess, or
Oh yeah. I would have done my morning prayers and just either would have been around the ring waiting for you guys, just kind of watching the action, or just waiting to talk to you guys throughout the day as you woke up one by one. There's nowhere to do any real hunting, I'm assuming, around the city, so I can't go like hunting, catch my own breakfast or anything.
I mean, not in the city, but outside of it. Like you could, it wouldn't be for breakfast. It would be, you'd have to make at least a day of it to get to good hunting.
No, I'll wait with the party and just kind of cheer at the ringside.
Is
Unless you wanna go
Glass
catch
trying
bats.
to? Oh,
Go ahead.
is Glass trying to hunt ley lines down?
well, that's it's how I'm not sure. I was going to say to you, Dan. I mean, basically, I have my ear open as a player, knowing that I might have this skill,
Right.
but Glaz doesn't know it yet. So I don't think he's actively, casing the city looking for ley lines because he doesn't realize he has this.
So I would say at this point he feels like he has come to a sort of a new milestone of understanding, and so he kind of opened himself up to that experience that he had way back in the forest and in Bemia, and he's not really noticing anything at this point. Like maybe some sort of very distant sort of sound, but not anything that you can even like zero in on.
Yeah. So just so I'm not always going to you, Dan, do I hear one yet? Dan, do I hear one yet? Just
I
in
hear you.
general,
Yeah.
I can have my
Basically-
ears
basically-
open and I'll let you cue me if I hear that siren song of the piccolo or something.
Absolutely. Yep. I will let you know if anything tickles your senses.
Gotcha.
So we will move on to nightfall. As the sun is dipping down toward the horizon, the appointed time arrives for you to go and retrieve your copy from Olmar.
Well, shall we head out to go and get our copy and go ahead? I guess to go ahead and deliver it. I'm assuming that most of the scholars that I know are up at all hours of the day and night, so I would think that we could probably even deliver this to Master Diviner Whitstone this evening once we pick up the book in our copy. Yes.
And I think you're talking to Riordan and I, because you tend to do this thing that a lot of people don't do anymore. What is it? What's that trait that you have? Honesty. That would, not help us out in this situation at all.
When would honesty not be a good policy?
When we did
That's-
something not honest.
Sometimes, my friend, you must pounce on
Whatever you think is
opportunities
best.
as they arrive.
But he works at the Collegium. I went to Bemia. We would have many things to talk about. We will discuss later. Let's get our copy first, yes?
All right.
Yes.
So you guys make your way across the darkening cobbled streets of Lower Zobek and of the Market Ward and toward Lower Zobek, and you find the door of Olmar's rare books closed before you, but you can see light burning within. When you make your presence known at the door, it is once again open, and this time you find the dwarf sort of standing behind his desk, back towards another door that goes farther into the interior of the building, and he is looking over, kind of reading, and his finger is tracing along a parchment that he's scanning. And when you come in, he looks up and says, "Ah, right on time. I like that. Come in.
Yes.
Hello?
Very good to see you
nods to
again.
you.
With any problems? Are we able to get this all taken care of for us?
No problems whatsoever. We're all set." So he holds out your book to you, the original, And then he has a small, sort of soft leather bound, if you've seen like those handmade notebooks that artisans sometimes make sometimes. It's much smaller than the original one because there's less writing in it since you only wanted specific passages copied. And he holds that out to you as well.
Glaz just having, I used to borrow people's notes all the time when I was up at school, so he did a quick little check just to see, just looking at the penmanship and making sure we can read what you have copied.
Everything you scan over looks perfectly legible.
This is beautiful work. Thank you so much.
So you're satisfied then?
Yes.
Well then.
And, yep. Then I will...
Did anyone come around asking for it?
He kind of crinkles his brow and says, no, not at all.
I'm going to roll insight on that.
You may do so with disadvantage.
11. Oh, 11. Let's hold on for that. I rolled 2 8s in a row.
Sure.
Yeah, 11. I rolled 2 8s. That's awesome.
No, Kari, you do not have disadvantage.
Oh, sweet. It was a 9.
A 9. No. He seems somewhat not really surprised, but like just a little confused a bit by the question. It says no, nobody else asking after it, or you.
Okay.
So then,
I wouldn't say a random book in a random bookshop in the middle of Zobak who would know. But thank you. We do appreciate it. And I hand over to him. I start counting out coppers. I'm a little bit short of just gold. Can anyone else pitch some in, or else we're going to be counting coppers here all night?
I'm saving up.
As soon as you drop copper on the desk, his face sort of darkens.
Well, I mean, I've got 24 in gold, but then the rest of it would be in copper.
I mean, like, so, like, 25. So it's like all of us just get 5 each. All right, Jesus. And he puts 5 gold on the thing.
I put 5 gold on.
I'm saving up for something.
Everybody else? All right. So Riodan, as people start coughing up gold, he just sort of and goes over and starts reading, scanning the bookshelf.
Kane puts down 10, covering Riodan's half, and just glares like his sight might actually make Riordan burst into flames.
I put a hand on Kane's shoulder and just kind of pat gently.
I
agree with you on this one.
I look back at him and give him a shitty grin.
You can feel like his hackles raised.
All right.
Oh, so there you are. You got 25 gold. Didn't mean to distress.
All right. So he collects the gold and tucks it away in a pouch and says, "Well, then, it was a pleasure. You keep me in mind if you ever run across any interesting volumes in the future."
You keep me in mind if you find any books that I'm looking for.
Absolutely. Well then, and now that he has handed off the books to you and gotten his money, he just plops back into the chair with a creak of wooden slats and squealing springs, plops his boots up onto the desk and grabs a book and cracks it open. And it just looks away from you and he's done.
Oh, I guess he doesn't want us to lock the door. Okay, let's just go.
I believe that is him telling us not to let the door hit us in the ass on the way out. Let us go.
Surprisingly,
perhaps if you didn't put copper on the table, he might not have been so offended. She says, kind of pushing Glass down the stairs a little bit.
Well, copper is money too. There is no shame in having copper. It spins just as good as the gold.
Yeah,
that's not how
It's good to
currency
always
works.
have change in case you want to actually make change.
It's definitely
You
not
need
the same as gold.
copper
Just
for 1 gold. That's the biggest dick move that you could do. Be like, oh, I brought in 10,000 copper to pay you for the job that I did.
I had 24 gold. I just had 24 gold and then 100 copper. Actually, I had 89 copper. But
What
That's
are
not to
you
start
doing
with the
with
copper.
so much copper?
Because sometimes you need to make change. It is good if you need to be in the marketplace.
That
and you are
is a
buying something
lot
from
of
Sufficient.
change.
Listen, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't like change.
And you, Riordan,
You do
you
not
did
carry
not
all the
pull
different
in with the
outfits.
rest
I
of
even
the
have some
party.
electrum here.
What is it that you are saving for? Perhaps a rainy day?
Rainy day, darling. Rainy day. Yes.
More hookers.
Oh no, they can't
That's
freeze.
what she's implying 100%.
They can't freeze for me. Don't worry, darling. That's my cult friends back there. We're all in it together, as it were.
I see.
I leave it on that uncomfortable note.
Every time Riordan says they come free, it came in the background.
Delightful.
It's silly.
Glass
Is that usually extra? Everyone looks like close. Okay.
Please.
So on that uncomfortable note,
Well,
what
Glass is in the room.
what is the plan from here?
We're gonna turn in
I
the.
think.
Yeah. Go to the. I need you.
I asked for the R copy that we had made for us, and I'm hiding it on my body, like under my cloak.
Sure, you can tuck it away. It's a little, it's kind of a full-sized book, so it's. Why don't you make me a dexterity sleight of hand check to see how well you can hide it?
All right, here we go. Woo!
Here it
You have
is.
a very small body.
6.
You have a very small
All right,
body
so
and-
I had a lot of food to cook.
as he's walking on,
Okay, go ahead.
as you guys start walking, you can see just a rectangular-shaped lump kind of jutting out from the back of his hip under his cloak.
No offense, my friend, but you have a very small body and that is a very large book. Perhaps I should put it somewhere on me.
Okay. And he like takes out and he's like
Yeah.
hands out the.
Glass all but can palm the book.
Yeah.
What you need me to roll, or do I need to roll, or?
You could just tuck it away in a backpack or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he was
Don't-
trying to hide it in a not obvious place. So like, nobody's going to see the book in your backpack, but if someone were to go through it, it's just right there. Yeah. All right. So the plan is to head straight over to the Collegium.
I'm smart. I went to Bimia.
Glass gets all flustered.
Yeah, and then we make our way to the Collegium.
All right. So you can just follow one of the main roads toward the east, and you cross over the Derry River on one of the bridges, and as you step off the bridge, you're in the Collegium district. This area is home to some more greenery than the lower and market district. You can see that there are some small parks that have trees and shrubs and gravel paths leading through them. And you know that you're heading towards the Arcane Square, which is sort of a central hub area just kind of in front of the Arcane Collegium itself. And so as you make your way over, you find yourselves at the Arcane Collegium proper. It is an imposing edifice, mostly composed of stone, except you can see that the doors are brass and silver, and the doors themselves seem to be composed of multiple different panels and pieces. And Glaz, you've all been here at least once before. You know that they are all clockwork doors, and they sort of open in a very strange manner, where the doors themselves almost disassemble out of your way to allow entrance.
I'm never gonna get over that. It's so cool.
It really is.
All right.
So I guess we go back to wherever Master Diviner's office was.
Okay, so the Collegium itself is not actually one building; it's a bunch of two-story buildings, and so you head to the correct the correct edifice where the Master Diviner resides. Well, let's see. It's pretty late at night. You may still be able to catch him. You make your presence known, and the door goes through this rattling series of clanks and mechanical noises as it sort of folds back into the door frame and then transformer-like folds away to reveal a hall. Inside, you can see marble floors and these tile murals every so often that are made of colored glass and seem to have strange patterns woven into them. And you can see ever-burning torches very clearly with sort of a white flame that doesn't seem to actually touch the torch from which it issues, crackling in sconces, giving sort of a pure bright light that illuminates the interior. You see a few scholars or wizards walking with very simple robes, carrying small bundles of books or rolls of parchments. And one of them sort of breaks off and makes their way over towards you. It is a human woman, very young, probably 17 or 18. And she smiles and says, "Hello, can I help you find something, friends?"
We are trying to have a meeting with Master Diviner Rudwin Whitstone. He hired us to do some work for him, and we are coming to report back in.
Oh, she kind of blinks. Well, if you'd like, I can direct you to Master Whitstone's office. I think he may still be in. You might be in luck.
Oh, that would be lovely. Thank you so much for your help.
Sure. So she takes you to a stairwell and says, "You want to follow these stairs up to the second floor, take a right down the hallway. Past the second set of statues is his office."
What specific directions? Thank you.
And she just kind of nods and turns and goes back about her business.
Can I roll insight on her directions?
Sure, with disadvantage.
I trust no one.
Right. It's true, I don't. 7.
Me.
7?
I rolled a 4 out of that.
I told you to trust no one, Dr. Jones.
He didn't take my advice. You think her directions were maybe a little too specific, but you can't find any fault in them now. But she better watch her ass, though.
Yeah, if something happens, I'm gonna come for her.
Do I just see like a little cloak like standing there, like tapping his foot, looking at this?
Yeah, like
he's walking away. He's like scowling at her, like.
Yeah, as this wizard's apprentice.
I go to ruffle his hair for a second, then realize like some gnomes are offended by that, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah,
then the scowling turns to you, like,
All right, so you guys make your way upstairs to the second floor and easily locate the sets of statues that were being referred to, and you find a door with a nameplate on it that says Master Diviner. You are muted, Paul.
There you have it. See if he's in. Start knocking. Hello, Master Whitstone. Are you available? Are you still here this evening? Are you burning the late night oil and getting your studies done?
Okay, so sort of as you're finishing that query, the door opens. This one is actually kind of a normal door, not one of those clockwork ones, although it has a brass handle, and you hear a series of clicks and clacks and little like pings that come as you can see the latch work and it opens. Inside is staring at you an old dwarf, another dwarf. You guys are just dwarf heavy today. There's a dwarf man with sort of iron gray hair. It's long and straight, and it looks like it must be combed or oiled to kind of keep it that way. And his beard is likewise just sort of let to grow and doesn't have any real adornment or any of that in it. He has a strange burn scar kind of on the right side around his eye that looks like it's eaten half of his eyebrow. And he's cants his head to the side, and he's wearing robes of silver and blue. And he says, I'm Master Whitstone. How might I... Oh, wait! Of course, you were the ones hired to recover the diary. Come in, come in.
Oh, so nice to be recognized.
Yes, indeed, that is
Yeah.
us.
Can I offer
Yeah.
you anything? Water? Ale?
Perhaps
Water?
no ale, she says, looking at everybody. Water would be fine.
All right, so he kind of crooks a stubby finger over toward the other side of the room where there's a sideboard with some silver decanters. A tray lifts up of its own accord, and a decanter, the decanter sort of rises up and begins pouring into goblets on its own, and then the tray floats over towards you, one then the other, offering you a glass.
Just like home. Reminds me of Bimia, everyone. Everyone, it's just like Bimia.
So,
Bimia.
what's that? Yeah, take one if you like. As you do, he leads you in. So the entryway to his office seems like it's sort of a sitting area. There are a few side tables with some books on them. There is sort of a sofa and a few easy chairs kind of arranged in either a reading or discussion sort of formation. And you can see another door on the far side of the room that leads into another room that is closed. Tia, you got something?
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is one of those, please go and recover my item for me, and then I'm going to kill you all so that every trace is... Are these drinks poisoned?
How are you going to test it?
Like, thanks for getting my book, guys. Have this drink.
ever.
It doesn't
Now you got
feel...
the cross
yeah.
of Jesus Christ, Dr. Jones.
This is, this is-
Yeah, no, well, I mean, like, look at the crew we have. So, like, Cloak could be like, oh, this is a really good drink, and then he's fake drinking the water and go like,
Jesus. All right.
Glaz is just
anyone-
drinking it down. He fills his
Yeah.
glass twice.
It's Glaz. The water is cool and clear and, very refreshing.
Claz, you are such an idiot. I mean, you are so faithful in people.
I thought you wanted water. I thought you
Yeah,
wanted water.
Tia,
Carrie.
is
It
there-
was very good. It's nice and cold and everything.
I don't
Yeah,
have
Carrie
like a
is-
detect poison spell or anything like that, so
That's fine. So you just want to like examine it?
maybe
just wanna-
smell it, just take a teeny taste of it, see if it like gives me any weird feelings.
Delicious almond water. All right, you can go ahead and make an intelligence investigation check.
I look at Carrie.
Kari has a nut allergy!
Nat 20!
Nat
Yay!
20! All right, you detect absolutely nothing in your very careful examination of the water. It appears to be simply cold, cool, pure water.
I totally see her doing this, and I look at her and I'm like, Carrie!
She just smiles,
Fine,
knowing
really good
that it's
water,
not
darling.
poisoned whatsoever, and it's just like, I hope you're okay.
So,
Why do you not need to
Master,
breathe?
Master Whitstone kind of watches all of this just with sort of an impassive face and turns to you, Glaz, and says, perhaps you and I should speak.
Yes. Kind of looking around in his
I-
friends, being like,
I flash
what
in my
is
vampiric.
wrong? What is wrong with you people? No, he's thinking that he doesn't say
So,
it out loud, but just,
What news about the missing item?
oh, we have it. And we haven't recovered it. It was in the possession of the that gang that was around here. That the Black Shields for some reason had it, and he looks at Master Diviner and goes, and I must say they are quite a nasty sort. I'm sure your trained eye can see, and he sort of looks around to both Kane, Cloak, and Riodan, who are all still showing that their shadow touch. They are delving into magics that we don't like to speak of, if you know what I mean. They seem to be exploring the darker sides of things.
Well, anything that relates to the Strauss, that seems a very likely conclusion. You said it was Black Shields? It was a gang?
Oh,
They
yeah.
had the tattoos.
Yeah, the neck tattoos. Wait, hold on. And Cloak pulls out
that's
a
right.
piece of skin, and he's like, see?
So that skin is starting to get pretty funky at this point, and you know that smell when a piece of steak has been left out for a few days?
Oh.
That's the waft. That's the waft that now starts to kind of fill the room.
It smells really good
coming
to
off
me.
of this. Yeah.
And he's like holding it up to his face, and he's like, see the tattoo? I took one for
You
evidence.
just smelt it. Oh. Sorry.
So Whitstone looks at that and kind of snaps his fingers, and then there's a sudden, just sort of gentle breeze swirling around him. And those of you who are standing close to him, it smells faintly of perfume or incense. And he's
using prestidigitation. It's very, very useful.
Oh, it makes my nose tingle. Ugh.
He said, "Delightful. You could put that away, please, and take it with you when you leave."
Well, I wasn't gonna leave it here. What kind of guess you think I am?
Do not
So he
feed
turns-
that to your animal.
He turns back to Glaz and says, "You say that this gang of brigands were using this book in some way?"
Well, we don't think that they were using it, but they might have been the hired muscle. We came across a very strange a priest who was dressed all in white, and it was he was sacrificing people. In fact, he was sacrificing both animals and people. It was nasty business. I wrote down what was said, but I think it was in void speech. I'm not sure if I actually understood it.
What?
However, I don't think you would have told us. I wrote down the reveal the path, reveal the heart. Was that? But I've got next
That
to it
was-
void speech.
That was in Umbral, I believe, and a few of you were able to translate that. Yes.
What was it that he said again? He looked to Cloak and to Kari, knowing they speak Umbral. What was it that the priest said again before he was doing the sacrifice? Reveal the path,
Desire.
reveal the heart was the words.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, did I write that down? I feel like that's something I definitely
Sorry,
wrote
I
down.
should before I threw that to you. I should have put it in chat or something. There you go.
Yeah.
Corey kind of thinks for a moment and stammers over a couple of words before she eventually says, reveal the path, reveal the heart in Umbral. Having her head knocked around a couple of times, it's kind of loose jargon up there.
So you basically describe to him the setup, and he says that sounds like a ritual incantation of some sort. It sounds like a divination for certain, but one that would circumvent means to prevent exactly what they were trying to do. There must be knowledge in this diary of how to bypass magical warding against divination. Dealing with dark powers can offer many benefits if one is willing to risk or pay the price. My suspicion is this individual had tried standard divinatory methods and they failed. So whatever he's seeking must be long lost, well guarded, or both. This is most disturbing, and you have no idea who this individual was.
He teleported. He drove the dagger into the poor guy who was there, and then he stepped through a portal and poof, was gone. He left behind another guy to kill us, but we killed him first.
Well, I'm glad you're all well.
We killed him twice.
Oh, we actually did
So,
kill him twice. He came back.
He looks to Kari then and says, "You, in your knowledge and expertise, did that seem to be a shadow road, the portal that he stepped into?" And no, it didn't. It didn't look that way to you at all. It was definitely a spell of some type.
She has a very stern face when she shakes her head no. No, it was most definitely a spell. Not one of our roads.
Well, I'm not sure if that's better or worse, but it's something at least. He says.
Did you guys describe the dagger already to him?
They
I was
mentioned
holding back
dagger.
on describing the dagger just because I wasn't sure if we wanted to reveal that or not.
She kind of, yeah, okay. If he takes his eyes from her, she kind of looks at Glass like. Kari's not very subtle.
So he doesn't seem to be paying Kari much attention at that point, fortunately. He's turning back to Glaz, and he holds out his hand and he says, well, you've retrieved it then, the diary, if you please. You're muted again.
Yes, here it is. It is...
All right,
here.
so he takes it and kind of flips through it and shakes his head, and he says, I haven't gotten around to deciphering this yet, and that may have been a mistake. He sets it on his desk and says, well, let's conclude our business immediate, at least. How would you like your payment?
In money?
Gold, please. Or plain
It's all
armor.
springs, though,
if you
you
have
know. You
any.
can, I have 2 pieces of electrum. See, guys, I told you, electrum sometimes... you'll need it.
Electrum?
Yes,
What?
I have 2 electrum.
What
Wait,
are
is
you,
there
a
electrum in this world?
Sure.
No.
Ugh.
I overruled
King
down.
finally
I
speaks.
told you,
No.
money to always have change.
No,
you
they are Ancashelian antiques that he discovered on one of his delves into the ruins.
Glass would collect coins.
His summer camp.
I have a coin collection. Would you like to see it? I've got the whole book. I put them all in.
Right. So after you say you're fine with gold, Whitstone goes over to a cabinet. He opens it, and inside is a metal safe that at first you think it might be, wrought iron, except when you look closer, you see it doesn't have that same dull black. It's very, very dark, like a dark charcoal gray, almost black, but not quite. And you can see these little gleaming flecks of silver in there that just faintly catch the light. It doesn't seem to have like a knob or a handle or a keyhole, but he sort of runs his finger over it in a strange pattern and whispers, and a crack appears around the face of it, and a door opens. So he takes out.
What does he whisper?
He whispers something in the languages of magic that he apparently cast a spell of some sort.
Can I roll Arcana?
Sure.
Kill these adventurers.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Come
waiting
my
for.
mimic.
Like any second, this guy's just gonna be like, "Screw you guys."
9.
9. You are unfamiliar with this magic. It is something arcane in nature, which is a little bit out of your immediate expertise. So he pulls out 5 small leather pouches, and actually decent-sized leather pouches, and you can tell they're sort of weighing his arm down a bit. And he closes it, and after he closes it, you can't see any sign of the seam or door. It just looks like a flat adamantine face inside that cabinet. And so he closes it and turns back to you and says, well, payment in full for a job very well done. Thank you for your service. And hands you each a pouch containing 100 gold coins.
Oh!
Whoa!
Bam!
Drop in the bucket, baby. Drop in the bucket.
This is Squall asking. So is that shadow metal stuff?
No, that's just adamantine. Just plain old run-of-the-mill adamantine.
Cool. No, I'm just wondering if it was the cool stuff from the Shadow Realm.
Oh, no,
So
no.
I have a follow-up question to what he said. So he said, I haven't been able to decipher it yet. Was the book stolen from him? Is that why we were assigned to this? Okay.
Yes, the book was stolen.
I thought he said something and he didn't mean to say, and I was like, oh, like, we caught him in the lie. But
No,
I didn't know the
he's-
backstory of the quest.
Right. He said he hadn't gotten around to deciphering yet, and that may have been a mistake. So it's clearly something that he's had for a while, and it's just kind of been on the back burner. But before he got to it, for whatever reason, someone stole it.
Okay.
So he says, well, that bit of business seems to be complete. I very much appreciate your swift and proficient assistance, and I will keep you in mind should I have any further tasks, if you would be amenable.
Yes, please. I think we all are quite interested
I'm
in.
going to need a lot more gold than this, so yes.
Well, in the meantime, I would be most interested in any information you can retrieve on the identity of this white-clad individual who is performing these sacrificial rituals down in the cartways.
You want us to interrogate gang members?
I leave the methods to you. I'm saying if you can discover anything about this person, I'm very interested in that information, because this individual seemed to know more of the significance of the Strauss diary than I did.
So, a question.
Perhaps
You
if
as
you
being You go ahead.
Perhaps if you could tell us more about what you know, it might aid us in our investigation. This
I'm
is
afraid I
quite
know.
a mystery to all of us.
I'm afraid I know very little about the diary itself. I know that it was written by one Werner Strauss, a member of the Strauss family before the revolt. And of course, he kind of just shrugs like, we really don't have to go into that. Everybody sort of knows that deal. The umbral script within the diary struck me as odd in the way it was ciphered, but Strauss being Strauss, one should expect such things. The taint of shadow ran strong in that family. Some say that it even began to change them over time. They may not have even been human anymore.
Well, cipher, you say. So wait, is there a key to the cipher?
I don't know. I hadn't looked deeply into it because I didn't realize that it might be that important, quite frankly. The fact that someone went out of their way to steal it tells me that I may have been in error.
Ooh. I don't know what Telesquall just rolled, but it was a thing.
I was rolling a wisdom saving throw as to whether or not Glaz jumped right in and said, "Oh no, we found the cipher. It's right here." But I rolled I was rolling to see whether or not I was going to do it. So I did my own little personal wisdom check on whether or not I was going to chime in. But I didn't.
I appreciate that as a role player. That's good stuff.
Cloak has been having a normal conversation, but he's been eyeing Glaz the whole time and going like, don't say anything, please. Like in his head, like the whole time.
Perhaps
All
we should
right.
adjourn and discuss how we are going to do our interrogation.
So, Master Whitmore stands, and if you're all finished with your drinks, he kind of sweeps his hand, and the glasses just kind of float out of your hands back to the sidebar.
I have one last question for you,
Please.
Master Whitstone. So, you are also a diviner, a master diviner. In such rituals where sacrifice and blood might be needed, especially involved with shadow magic, is there something peculiar or necessary in the sacrifices themselves that might give us an idea of what they were trying to do? We have found a quite interesting animal that we rescued from there, and perhaps it has some connection or tie to this magic they were performing. Maybe give us a clue.
He sort of furrows his brow, particularly when you mention shadow magic and blood sacrifice at the same time. And he says, I would very much like if you could write down absolutely everything you remember about the ritual space, the creatures that were there, anything anyone said. I feel like something strange might be going on here, stranger than even we thought. If you would be willing to take the time.
Oh, Glaz, it's like homework assignment. He is like already like got parchment out, and he's like,
Glaz is that guy. Got it.
that guy.
Well,
Of course, I
Puff
can
Puff
write
is
down everything. I
there.
remember all the little details.
Puff Puff is there
right.
next to Cloak.
Okay, I kind of forgot that the dog would have been with you. That's right. So when you mentioned that the dog was there and part of the sacrifice, he sort of looks over at the dog as if kind of noticing it for the first time. It seems like animals following people around in the Arcane Collegium is like, oh, there are clouds in the sky. Yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of looks down and says, this creature was one of the would-be sacrifices?
Yeah, it's her name's Puff Puff.
Puff Puff. And when he says her name, her tail starts to wag, and she kind of trots over to him and sniffs his hand. And he kind of gives her a little a ruffle around the ears and looks at her closely. And he kind of looks up at you, and he looks down at her, and she just sort of doggy grins up at him with her tongue lolling out. This is an interesting companion you have.
Yeah, I saved her, so we're best friends now.
He chuckles a little and he nods as if that makes perfect sense.
See, you're good.
So I do. Make sure you're on good behavior around this one. And he kind of pats her on the side. Boop, boop, boop.
I mean, I think I do a pretty good job. Is that right, Puff Puff? Yes.
All right. So while Glaz is writing down a bunch of details, you guys can just kind of lounge in the study area there. You could take your leave, however you like to do.
Wait, one question. Your guys' library, can I have full access to it? I just want knowledge. Oh, well, I don't want spells. I want knowledge, because I don't understand magic, but... Well, I don't understand your guys' magic.
What is it that you're looking for?
Just, knowledge on, like, ley lines and, like, you know, different realms and stuff like that, and, like, how those energies work and how people access them and that kind of stuff, and it's just some study materials, nothing crazy.
All right, so you're interested in ley magic, particularly.
Well, yeah, just more like the knowledge of ley magic. I'm not gonna try casting it, because, yeah, no.
Fair enough. So he goes to his desk, and so he actually goes to the door at the far side of the room, which is one of those crazy clockwork doors, and he taps it once with his finger, and it kind of opens at his touch, and you can see what looks like a laboratory beyond, a wizard's laboratory. He returns with a sheaf of parchment, a couple of pieces of parchment and a quill, and he writes, you'll note that he doesn't dip the quill into any ink or anything, and he begins scrawling quickly, and he rolls it up and seals it with a little wax seal that he burns on a candle and mushes it on there, and he hands it to you, and he says, "This will give you some access to the library. Consider it a personal token of thanks."
Oh, well, thank you. That's awesome. I'm gonna... And then you just see Cloak, like, walk off.
Okay, bye.
Bye!
All right, so Cloak wanders off, and Puff Puff follows him.
Just as a note, Glaz got an assignment by a teacher, so he writes everything down. He writes that all about the dagger, everything that he used in the identify spell for the dagger. You know, it's he is in total student mode of.
Does he show his working?
Yeah, you're showing all your work.
Oh, I'm showing all my work because this is like. Of course, I can write it all up for you. You know, he starts footnoting stuff.
So you're gonna write down everything.
526.
Right. So the important stuff is like the number of people or bodies who were there, description of the altar, arrangement of the candles, position of the book, the Strix, the Shadowhounds, the dead animals in the cages, The fact that he spoke in void speech.
Would I have known that it was void speech?
You may not have specifically known that it was void speech, but you knew it was something completely. You could describe it, and it was completely fucking awful. And actually, when you get to that point in your transcript, and you start to try to remember what he said, your vision swims a little, and you can taste bile in the back of your throat, just very lightly.
So he would probably mention that. He'd be like, so this is very strange. Whenever I try to think about this one part of this encounter, this language, and he starts to even just sort of like to retch and sort of twist up, kind of like that weird, feeling like almost nails on a chalkboard, and describes it to the master, and just of saying how awful it was and how it still makes him ill to even come across it or to try to recall it.
The rest of you, as he begins describing this and it kind of triggers your memory of it, you start having similar reactions. Let's see, Kari, your teeth ache, like in your gums, like I don't know if you've ever had braces, but sort of that feeling, and you can actually taste just a tiny bit of blood where your gums have started to bleed as he starts talking about this stuff. And you can see, Glaz, as you're writing out the kind of the description of it, the parchment is getting discolored under the ink. And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just going to watch the master's face as Glaz is attempting to describe all of this.
His face grows dark immediately, and he holds up his hand and he says, "That's all right. It's probably better that you don't try to give as accurate a description as possible of what you heard. What you heard sounds to be void speech. It's a very dangerous language, even just to hear it. You said it unraveled your spell."
Yes. I was using one of...
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna be Glaz. I
was casting chromatic orb, yeah. Yeah, sure. So his demeanor grows icy as this tidbit comes forward. He says, "Continue your transcription, please." But he seems incredibly preoccupied now, and he's like sort of just stroking down his mustache and beard and just staring off into nothing while he waits for you. So eventually you finish your transcript, and he reads over it very, very quickly. And he says, "I can detect elements of at least 3 different rare and extremely dangerous, if not forbidden, practices of magic, deep magic, within this ritual space and practice that you've described to me. This is deeply concerning. Whoever this person is, they are well learned in things mortals were better off never knowing."
Kari kind of shivers slightly.
And he just sort of reiterates, any information you can find about who this person is or where they have gone could be vitally important. I will conduct my own research to see if I can discern anything from these ritual trappings. But for now, thank you for your work.
Did we take any of his body, or did Cloak only take the skin from one of the dead people?
Cloak only took the skin from one of the dead people.
On the way out, I remember that.
Things in D&D. Yeah, it's still on the floor down there. We could, hopefully it's not like dragged away by whatever's down there, but we didn't really spend a lot of time investigating like the clothes underneath the bandages or trying to figure out who it was. We're just like, book, leave.
Let's do a leave. If you guys want to go back into the cartways and see if you can find the body of the Dark Servant and try and glean anything from it, you can.
That's what Kari wants to do, but she's going to wait for her more educated friends to finish talking with this man.
If we think of anything else, we will get back in touch with you. And if you think of anything or find any leads, we certainly would be available to go and investigate them for you.
Where can I send a message for you?
Are we going to keep saying at the Silk Scabbard, friends, or do we want to move on to
We can't lose
I
the
don't
fuckhouse.
think we'll be able to make Riordan leave.
I'm not the one who's been spending as much time there as Kane. Or yourself. No, you didn't want to leave. I left and went away, do you remember? I think you rather
He
like the ale.
blinked slowly at him.
I think you rather like the ale in the fuckhouse, don't you? Finest fuckhouse ale in all of Zobek.
They have good beer. All right, so basically at this point, Master Whitstone bids you good night and thanks you again for your service. And
thank you.
Sees you out of his office. Yeah.
Good night, thank you. And yeah, Glaz is like totally like not getting the hint. He wants to talk to the scholar for longer and gets shuffled out.
I eventually grab Glaz by the wrist and I'm like...
Before he actually shuts the door, he looks at you and says, Glaz, have you considered applying for apprenticeship?
No, I have not. I did not know you were available. I had been studying in Bimia and was potentially going back that way, but I don't know if I'm going to get back there. I had a very strange experience that ended me up and he just...
He kind of holds up his hand. He says, perhaps not myself, but there are openings, of course, and there, I think, is a great deal you could learn here. You should consider it. Certainly after this, I'll give you a good recommendation.
Glaz just is beaming.
All right, well, consider it. Good night. And he shuts the door and you hear...
I am proud of you, friend. That is one of your masters offering you a position. You should be very pleased with yourself.
See, that is why you should always footnote your work. And
Corey thinks about giving him a footnote.
All right, so what is the plan from here?
Corey
Well,
doesn't need to go back down right away. She is rested. She is able. Shall we?
A couple other pending things. I will remind you that Riordan, Mistress Everforge is expecting you tomorrow to pick up your armor.
Yes.
Oh.
We'll work on that. I'll play that one close to the chest.
Fair enough.
You would hear in the distance Cloak arguing with someone because since it is nighttime, he's like you see him and he's like holding a scroll and he said, "I just want to go in. What do you mean no visitors?"
I'm running up to Cloak, concerned, with the tone
So
of his voice.
you're currently arguing right now, Cloak, you're at the library, you said?
Yeah, like I imagine it's like closed to like out, like if people have like special permissions. Like normal students probably have access, but like me, I don't. So
at this point, it's pretty late. So even with your letter, this really isn't the time for you to be there. So there is a sort of almost like a receptionist desk, or it's like half receptionist desk, half like a podium or a lectern in front of the closed doors to the library, this archway, and up on the top of it, kind of leaning over, perched on it, is a kobold with brown and silver speckled scales in a apprentice's robe. Actually, not an apprentice's robe, in an actual like wizard's robe, with a staff leaning up against the wall behind him, and it's just sort of canting its draconic head to the side, listening to Cloak go on, and it just says, "Come back tomorrow."
Why do we have to come back tomorrow? I got special permission.
So sorry, no. My brother is closed. And it kind of grins, baring its sharp, needle-sharp teeth all along its snout and kind of clips them together as it bites off the word closed.
Fine, I'll come back tomorrow, and I'm gonna read all the books, and I'm gonna stay here way past closing time, and I'm gonna sleep in here, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then you see Cloak angrily just stomping off.
The kobold chuckles and sort of settles back and kind of like wiggles in its seat, its tall seat, almost like a bar stool for it to reach the top of this thing, and just sort of starts messing with books or papers or whatever else it's got up there.
Can I use my thaumaturgy to fuck with its books? For being such a little...
Sure. Do you want to like? You can like
if he has like papers around him, I'm just gonna be like.
Yeah. You can cause basically almost like this phantom wind to kick up and sort of like swirl the papers around and make the books.
I'm not looking to do any damage or anything
yeah.
like that. It irks me to see that my friend clearly didn't get the upper hand in that, and I want to set him back on his feet a little bit.
I'll say you're far enough away that he doesn't, since he's so smug and self-satisfied at the moment, he doesn't notice you casting the spell. So when the sort of booming wind that almost sounds like an animal's growl sort of flowing along with it, kicks all of his papers up into the air, and he starts like scrambling after them, trying to snatch them, and you can see his book just blowing through pages. No. And he sort of like wobbles. He wobbles on his stool and topples off down to the floor. So you take your leave?
Yeah, I walk away satisfied.
Very good.
I don't even think Cloak noticed that. He would just been like so mad and like stomped off, like even past Kari. He's just like.
Right. Okay, so you guys head out. You can see across the way at the edge of the arcane square, there is a small, basically a low 2-story tavern with sort of warm, inviting light shining out from the open shutters of the windows and around the door, and you can hear like not like raucous, but like you're near a restaurant or a bar where there's a fairly sizable number of people talking. So just that kind of raised voice din sort of rolls out, and you can see there's a shingle hanging above the door that has a very well painted hedgehog with glasses perched on its nose, little half moon spectacles, and it's like grabbing on to the handle of an ale mug that's as big as it is. Oh, and underneath it says the hedgehog.
Yeah, we were told about this place last game, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it is very famous here in the Collegium. Can we go?
It's basically a college bar. Yeah,
it is lots of fun.
I mean, we can talk about what we need to do next. I have a couple ideas.
Well, and actually, lots of people. If the book was stolen from here, right? Someone from around the college must have maybe heard something. Perhaps we could hear some rumors about how college kids, they are out all night. College kids.
I am concerned that if we do not head back to investigate the body, that it will be removed, and we will miss our chance to make more gold.
It has been 2 days.
Especially if we leave. He kind of glances to Riordan and Kane. Everyone up to their devices.
Can I roll a nature roll when she says that? To see what could possibly eat the body, especially being in a cave for 2 days.
There were vampires still down there, and things that might try to hide the body.
We went away from bloodsuckers and growling sounds.
Did we hear growling and dogs as well?
There's a lot.
You heard like dogs, and beasts growling or screaming. Yeah, I mean, there were shadow hounds down there. That probably accounts for some of that. Yeah, you could make a intelligence nature check, Cloak, to see what sort of basically scavengers you're wondering about that might be under there. Or
and like what state would that body be in currently after 2 days?
I mean, not pretty. And there were already there were already some bodies down there that were starting to get ripe. So that place is probably going to be a charnel house. It is going to attract a hell of a lot of vermin in the way of, flies and centipedes, cockroaches, that sort of thing. And if it attracts enough of them, you could have, problems with like swarms, but depending. The other thing you're not sure about is the corpse that rose as a zombie. There seemed to be a great deal of dark necrotic energy flowing through that whole area, and Lord knows what effect that could have. That could cause them to rot faster. It could cause them to have other strange interactions or unforeseen magical effects. It could cause them to decay slower because nothing wants to eat it, almost like an irradiated fruit or irradiated body.
So, I mean, we could go down there, but if it's natural, the bodies are, there's a lot of decaying bodies down there. That could attract a lot of, vermin, insects, and all that kind of stuff. Not including, the weird growling noises that probably got attracted to that smell and are eating the corpse because it's been 2 days. Or with all the necrotic energy in there, I mean, it can have various effects, but such as, nothing's decayed, or it's decayed so quickly, it wouldn't matter. I don't think going down there will help us, in my opinion.
All right. She seems satisfied immediately with your explanation.
Well thought out.
I think at that point he would kind of be like, okay, so the bookseller or the man, the rare bookseller, he says, yeah, Omar, keep it down. Okay.
Omar.
So he said, that when he needs someone to get a book, he acquires someone to steal the book. So maybe he knows who stole that book inside.
He never said steal.
He said acquire.
He said acquire.
Yeah, acquire the book, because sometimes they're hard to acquire. So that might be similar.
What acquire means?
Yes. I can tell you.
Sorry, I know.
But there's also the fact that we have the gangs here. The gangs were down there. Maybe we can find out, what. I don't know if they have different sects or if they're just one large gang, and if we could find out who hired them or why they were down there in the first place, maybe that's a better route to go. But I mean, we can totally go down there and go with the crazy dark energy. It's probably the most risky, but what they usually say, great risk is great reward. But that's up to you guys.
I rather like your idea of infiltrating the gang. Perhaps we could convince them that we are seeking to lead down the same path.
I'm good at convincing people of things.
I know you are. She says with zero mirth in her voice.
Question about the gang. Or is it
Sure.
would they be a xenophobic gang, meaning they only allow a certain race in, or?
Let's see. You know that Kane is at least vaguely aware of them, and they are mostly comprised of humans, but no, they're not exclusive.
Okay.
Race-wise, species-wise.
Well, I mean, who wants to infiltrate?
Historically,
I feel-
mine and Kane's race have been involved in some more questionable magic. Maybe that's more convincing. We don't have any humans amongst our number.
I am Shadow Fae.
That's true, you're sketchy as well.
She nods. That's gonna.
Yep.
I don't think Glass should go.
No, goodness, no. He'd end up joining them
Glass
forever
should
and never come
not
back.
go. She said,
No.
no.
Hired muscles for some of these gangs and the more nefarious people. I am sure that I could pass myself off as a tough guy.
Glass, I have no doubt of your fortitude when it comes to battle. However, your heart, she says, placing a hand on his chest, is far too kind for this world. This is something that you cannot do, friend.
Sweet summer child, you.
Yeah, she's just like, no,
But
baby,
Troki are from the
no.
north, my friend.
Aw.
So, I mean, like,
Glass.
if you...
Tell me a lie. Convince me of something that is not a truth, one truth and one lie. And if you can deceive me, perhaps you will be ready. She says, staring at his face coldly. Can I try to
I've told
intimidate
you-
him after I
I've told
say
you
that?
all
I
5
want to,
lines
like,
this morning.
Sure.
Actual
go ahead and make
rolls are a
Make
10.
a charisma intimidation. A 10. All right. So she's giving you this kind of intense stare. That's maybe just a little unnerving, but
Not really.
That doesn't
Not-
say
not
you
super
looked at
terribly.
me, that was the same way you looked at me back in the Shadow Realm. Before you saved me. Thank you again for doing that.
You think you're like 3 times a day.
and backfire. Yeah.
So which one was the lion?
Physically,
So yeah,
Blatantly
sorry,
written,
both
like,
of those.
Come on.
Both of those are objective truths.
You're incapable of telling a single lie, my friend. Your
you even
smile
know what a
is
lie
as
is.
bright as the sun here in this world, and so is your heart.
If I will not be of use, if you think that I would just be a liability, I guess I will sit at home.
No, then what we're gonna do, okay, Glass, you and I, we go talk to Omar. Those 3 go talk to the gangs because you probably don't want to see what they're gonna do.
Well,
Kane
that might be good.
chuckles
Or,
darkly.
hey, we talk out the door.
Damn.
I have a very good.
I want to hear you laugh.
Sorry.
Any sound or anything you make, I want to hear it. Peter.
Sounds like a Roomba.
It's only the Roomba that sucked up the cat.
Kane bumps into a wall and turns direction and continues onwards.
It freaks Puff out, and she runs away barking.
Woo!
Kane does not.
All right.
Kane and animals do not get along.
So, what is the immediate plan for you guys? Because it's pretty late at this point. You gonna turn in, or are you gonna?
Maybe
I
we
think you
should
guys have abandoned
sleep on
going back into the
Well-
cartways, right?
Yeah.
Well, but we
Or do you wanna
don't
try and-
have.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I mean, do you guys all want to stay at the same place? Glass seems really hell bent on staying at the Hedgehog. And then we only.
I don't know.
I mean,
does Hedgehog have rooms?
Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was just a tavern or
No, it's an
was
inn.
as well.
and I mean, I want to wake up as soon as possible so I can go to the library. You guys can go back to the fuck house, Riordan's fuck house, and then
by all means.
you guys can, you know.
Then
I mean,
we
you.
went across the street for you to go to the library.
Yeah, that's why I want to stay there. Because plus,
That's very nice.
I mean, and then you guys have a free room because I already paid for the room for the night. So, I mean,
No, I'll stay at the fuck house. The hedgehog sounds tragic. But I'm sure you'll enjoy
I'm sorry.
I knew it was coming. I knew it.
it. Reardon sees it as like the chess club tavern, like it's like no, it's hanging out there and
They
playing.
do. They have chess on the tables.
Ooh, I'm
I'm gonna stick with Glass. I don't like the idea of him being alone with the copy of the book and the dagger. You have the dagger, right?
Yeah, we never discussed.
That's one
Who
thing we need to
has
talk
the
about.
dagger?
Who is carrying the dagger?
I gave
the
it
blood
to
cursed
Glass
one?
because he wanted to identify. Yeah, the blood cursed one.
Right, I
One that needs to
identified
be
it,
fed or whatever.
Then we never. I don't think we ever decided who would get it because that's
Oh,
when
you were going to give it to
No,
Riordan. Yeah,
yeah,
you were going to give it to
and
Riordan, and then
So I misunderstood. I thought that I had been given the dagger because in my first
I think
scene
we
I was
did
like,
give
"Oh,
it
I've
to
got this
you.
new
I
dagger."
think we actually did.
You-
give
I
it
think
to
we
you.
did.
Because
It
You
makes
did
sense.
because I remember because you were like quietly nodded and then put it away.
So
I'm good with
maybe
blood
it's
magic. Yeah, because you were still under your spell.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty making it pretty neat time. So
Yeah, so you have you've got all those stats. It's a +1, and
Yep.
you have to feed it every day.
okay,
Yep.
it's like
Right,
a fucking Tamagotchi.
Right. So
That is
Yeah.
real Tamagotchi, dude.
okay. So you're attuned to the Heart's Blood Chris, right? Is that what we're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Will? All right. So it is it's a serpentine bladed dagger, and it's made of pattern welded steel, so it has that almost wood grain look to the blade. And yeah, so it's a magic dagger. It doesn't have a bonus to hit or damage, but it is magical. And it increases the save DC of your blood magic spells by 1, and you can use it as an arcane focus. And once every dawn, once every day, you can use it to shorten the casting time of a ritual spell, but it only functions if it's been bathed in blood. So you have to bathe it in blood, and then it will kind of wake up and its powers will work. And then the next dawn, it kind of goes dormant again, and you have to feed it.
Nice.
That, by the way, is the result of one of our viewer decisions when we rolled when we did a quirk to a magic item. So it's temperamental. So I'm sorry, by the way, the Hedgehog is a tavern. It's not an inn, so it doesn't have rooms. But,
Oh, okay. Well, back to the fuck house. Yes.
Basically,
Okay.
basically just a bar.
Is there any place that does have rooms in the Collegium District, though?
Most likely.
I look over to Kane.
Anywhere but the
Rematch.
I Kane shrugs. Kane
Sure.
will go,
What's that?
Hmm?
He's just shrugging at whatever.
Yeah, me. I was threatening him to another round before
yeah,
sleep.
we'll go for another round before sleep.
We can just 1d20 roll it this time.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll just probably cut that down.
Speed run it.
Speed
Yeah.
run it.
Midgard speedruns. That's actually great. Sorry.
What was your roll?
There's
Yeah,
are
how'd
we
you guys
actually
do?
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to do it, you can do it.
Yeah, 13.
The lucky number. It's not
Yeah, that's
better than
my
a natural 20. I beat the pulp out of you.
Fuck.
Oh no.
Okay.
All right.
I go
So,
down hard.
Round 2 doesn't go well.
I take my beaten and bloodied self and go to sleep with shame.
Radio. All right, so you guys can all find places to set up for the night and reconvene in the morning. What is the plan for this? What's your next step? Riordan, you are expected to go and meet with Mistress Everforge today.
Yes, I'll go and meet her.
All right. So you head to the Gear District, which is where the temples to Lada and Rava, the sort of smith gods, are, and Rava being the goddess of clockwork, and the place where the Gear Forged were born. And so as soon as you're in the Gear District, you start seeing far more of these constructed bodied individuals moving about.
Mm-hmm.
They're made of brass and highly polished wood and iron and silver, and you can hear just this faint symphony of clicks and whirs as they move and go about their business, as the ever-wound springs that power their limbs sort of compress and ping very softly. And every single one of them is a work of art. No two of them are exactly alike. They have crystalline lenses for their eyes that have a faint luminous glow within them, and somewhere buried probably in their chest is a crystal containing the soul of a once living being that animates this constructed body. In addition, you also see a patrol of clankers, the Clanking Legion. These are a mercenary company. They're about half flesh and blood, and half of them are gear forged. And they're just decked out in heavy armor, showing cog sort of or gear devices on it. And several of them you can see, it looks like some of the living people have been partially replaced with gear forged components. So like there's one walking on these almost curved leaf spring-like feet with these bladed spurs on the back instead of his own actual feet that kind of attach at his knees, and those are his lower legs. There's another with an arm that looks like it was taken from a gear forged and grafted to his shoulder, and it comes out from under his armor as he moves along in this small group, sort of patrolling down the road. As you pass by them, one of them kind of gives you a look. It's not threatening, but it's not exactly friendly either. You know the type, soldiers. What can you do? And they pass by you without any particular trouble or even passing any more notice of you. The sounds in the gear district, particularly as you get closer to the actual temples, really begin to ramp up, and you can hear the sounds of hammers ringing on anvils, in some cases in time with prayer chant from the priest smiths inside. So you follow the directions that you obtained from Mistress Everforge, and you head past the sort of dense central district toward one of the outer lying streets. And you turn down the street. It's probably still early morning, so there's a little bit of an overcast, and the sun is just beginning to creep up in the east. And you see the Everforge smithy up ahead.
I stride towards it confidently.
You head straight up to the door, and you bring up your hand to knock with sort of a little jaunty rhythm. And at the very first strike of your fist, the door swings inward. And you look inside, and it looks like it's dark. There are no lights or anything lit.
Paula, Mistress Everforge.
There is no answer.
I step inside.
All right, you step inside, and you sort of push the door open, and it scrapes and clatters against bits and debris on the floor as your dark vision resolves and brings the interior into sight. You can see that the place is an absolute disaster. There's an overturned table, splintered chairs, bits of armor scattered along the sort of storefront area, and you can see that there is just a spray of coals from where the forge got not exactly overturned, but disturbed in some way, and a bunch of smoldering coal was blasted out onto the floor and is scorched into the wood, and you can smell the smoke, and it's a wonder it didn't burn down. And you see a blood stain. You smell it before you see it, and your eyes flick down to it. Even in the dark, even in the shades of gray, you can tell exactly what it is. Relatively fresh humanoid blood. And that, I think, is where we'll stop for the evening.
Nice. I hope she made that suit of armor.
I really wanted to see the hedgehog.
Oh, we'll get there.
I did not.
You were not all about that at all.
The biggest geek bar you've ever been in.
Nerds. Just a bunch
Hey, we
of
got
Sorry.
100 gold. That's nothing to shake a stick at. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not.
awesome.
Good episode for us. Good episode
All right,
for
guys.
us.
And now we're
Hey,
level 3, right? Hey.
right?
No.
Well, my friends, that is where we're going to end tonight's episode of the World Tree Burns. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. I know certainly had a great time tonight. And yeah, it's pretty good episode for the team, I would say. Of course, you can catch up on this both on YouTube and at thetomeshow.com, which is where it's on podcast format. So you can go and listen to the show there. Definitely check out Kobold Press, my friends. Definitely check out the Midgard books that we've been using and playing with today. They're awesome and a lot of fun. And Midgard's a super nice breath of fresh air for those of you who've been playing D&D a lot, or maybe if the realms aren't quite to your liking. Midgard brings a nice bit of dark fantasy to that, and definitely enjoying that so far in this campaign. And of course, you can join us here every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, to watch the show and enjoy your Midgard content over here. We're back tomorrow, of course, for Call of Cthulhu at 1 p.m. Eastern, Warhammer at 4 p.m. Eastern, and Star Wars at 7. So that's where you'll find us next. But let's go around the cast and crew. Did we enjoy ourselves, my friends? And where can we find you guys online? Let's start with Dan. As always, great job tonight, Dan. What did you think of the show?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I had a great time. So we didn't do any combat. It's always fun to shake it up in D&D and mess with
I
the
love
other
story-driven stuff.
the
It's so
other
good.
2 of the 3 pillars of play. So we did some social interaction. We're doing a little exploration. It's going to be a great time. I hope you guys enjoy it. So you can find me on Twitter at Dan_Dylan_1. And I love talking D&D and Midgard, and hit me up there or at the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition Facebook group on the Facebook.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Thank you, Dan. Laurelania.
I had a lot of fun. I love story-driven content as opposed to, stuff where it's a little bit more heavier. I really like seeing all the development with the different characters. It's kind of obvious to me that we have a little bit more of a troublesome group, not with like inter-party fighting or anything like that, but we all just like to drink, fuck, and party. So I have a feeling that keeping us focused on the road ahead is going to be interesting, but I'm excited to see where it goes.
We'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Famous last words.
Great stuff. Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really say much during these games, which is nice. It's nice to just sort of sit back and be able to... It's interesting for me because setting yourself the task of playing a practically mute character is actually quite difficult, especially when you enter social episodes. But at the same time, yeah, it's interesting to hear what the rest of the party have to say, and occasionally just give sour glances, nods, grunts, laughs, and other things, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. You can find me online Encounter Josh on Twitter. I do a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of projects up and coming. So yeah, just follow me there and I'll keep you guys updated.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Tool School.
Oh, I always have a blast, and Glaz is just too much fun to play as. I'm having just the time of my life in Midgard, and playing this this kind of bumbling, innocent little, innocent giant troll of a man, and
the giant troll. You're absolutely right.
He is a giant troll, yeah.
And so you can find me all over social media at Tall Squall, and on my Twitter you can find links to all the other fun stuff that I do. But definitely check out Kobold Press and all of their stuff, because it is just way too much fun to play in and around it. That's me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Tool School. And McLoken.
Hello, I'm McLoken. I had super fun tonight. Cloak is a very interesting character because he's on the fine line of he's mischievous but not too mischievous, and he's like within the bounds of like wanting to like be in a very like intellectual environment, and most of the party is like, let's go to the fuck house, and he's like, I'm gonna hang out in the room, okay? And then he like hangs out with his dog and Glaz. So I want to see. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, my dog is awesome. I love it. I love how Puff Puff reacts to the cloak. I'm super excited to see the hedgehog next week, and I'm super excited to see if in the following day when they go to the library. It's really nerdy to say, but for everyone's like interactions with each other, I think we're all very much like a well blended party, because we all kind of like balance each other out so to speak, and there's not like one character who is just like overbearing in their personality. They all just kind of have that overall arcing like 5-way yin yang going on.
Yeah, you guys have been good at not stepping on each other's toes spotlight wise, and everybody gets their bits in, so that's fun. I think it's going to be interesting if we see some of that Niemheim darkness that is absolutely lurking within Cloak to come out.
It peeks out just a little bit, just because
Every now and then.
Especially if you guys know the truth. I think it was last episode with the when I was talking to the bartender, where he was like, "Oh, that's a beautiful dog you have there." And he's like, "Yeah, I've had it forever. I grew up with this dog," and he literally got it that day. And it's like little things like that where you're like, "Wait, did he have that dog the whole time?" And you start believing him, and that's when you end up as a blood sacrifice and wormwood.
Whoa!
Oh, well,
gnomes.
Oh, gnomes. Oh,
No,
dear.
that
my
is
friends.
well
Gnomes
quickly.
and Tinder, the greatest.
That, my friends, is where I'm going to end tonight's session. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves here on the Midgard stream. Definitely check out the Midgard materials on Kobold Press, and go enjoy the Hero's Handbook, right?
The Midgard Heroes Handbook.
Yep, for 5th edition. And is it the Player's Primer for Pathfinder? I forget.
For
Player's
Pathfinder, it is the Player's Guide. Midgard Player's Guide.
There you go. Definitely go check
And
them out.
I-
Link there
and
in
I
chat for you
will-
guys.
I will just point out that the Midgard Heroes Handbook looks like this one. There is another one called Midgard Heroes. It's very easy to confuse them. Don't do that.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Or do.
Well, or do
want.
and get both. I don't know. Yeah.
You can get both.
It's all good stuff. Well, my friends, we'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern for Call of Cthulhu. Until next time, though, try not to roll too many net ones. We want to be laughing when you do. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.